Yo, what's happening? What's happening, y'all? It's me coming back at you again with another live stream vid. All right, now it's time to talk about what are the next moves or the next steps that the Charlo brothers are going to take. First things first, I'm going to start off with Jermall, okay? And before I get into that, I would like to say again, once again, congratulations to both brothers. They gave us, pretty much, I would say, argue gave the fans whoever paid for that pay per view their money's worth. Those fights and the undercards are very good, and of course the main events were very good fights. So props out to them, and Jermell is now the unified Ring Magazine 154-pound champion. He's got 3 of the 4 major belts. There's 1 belt left to go, and that WBO title holder is Patrick Teixeira, who's promoted by Golden Boy, I believe. So let's hope they can get that fight done. But obviously, Teixeira may be tied up with Tim Tszyu, so we'll see how that plays out. And I believe Tim Tszyu is co-promoted by Top Rank, so we'll see how that plays out. But I'm going way ahead here. I'm gonna have to start off with Jamal on what his next steps are going to be. So first things first. Jamal is coming off a very, very, very good win over Sergey Derevchenko, who's a very, very worthy middleweight opponent, who has a very extensive amateur background, particularly in the World Series of Boxing, and he's been in 3 prior to tough world title fights against Danny Jacobs and Gennady Golovkin, and many argued that he beat Golovkin in that fight, and some people felt that he beat Danny Jacobs. So we'll see. We'll see. Very gamed. Gave Charlo a very, very stiff test, and a very good win for Jamal Charlo. So where does he go from here? So as we look at the rankings, I'm going to see if I can try to share screen here. Let me get this up and running here. It's up to Tommy Temper. Yeah, that shout out to Tommy Temper sharing my live stream. So if anybody want to hop on, I'll share the link. So um, let's look at the rankings here, right? I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and I'm gonna bring it up. Just give me 1 second here. All right, now my entire screen. Share the audio as well. Why is it not doing it? Oh, there we go. All right, so let's see. So we're gonna go over here, right? Let's see. We're gonna go back here. Now, as you can see here, you have in the WEC, we're talking about Jamal Charlo. So you see Derevchenko, who he already beat just a couple nights ago. Then you have Haya Munguia, who's the next rated opponent in the WBC in the middleweight division. Now, how realistic is that fight going to be? You know what? I would love to see that fight. Honestly, I do, because we're guaranteed to see fireworks. Because Munguia is far energetic. I mean, I say he's far more energetic than Derevchenko. Not to say that Derevchenko doesn't have energy. He's not enthusiastic going into fights, but Munguia has a very unbelievable punch output. He has a very, 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 very good work rate. But as far as technicality, yeah, there are some flaws there, and his defense is extremely, extremely leaky. So he can get hit pretty easily. Now, if I were to pick a winner between the two, obviously I'm going for Charlo, because Charlo I think has a much more power, and he is better technically than Munguia. Not saying Munguia doesn't have a chance to win. He does have a pretty good chance to win this fight if they were to make this fight. But uh, the thing about Munguia is that he does slow down when the fight progresses, and Charlo has not. Maybe in 1 or 2 fights I've seen him slow down in fights, but more so he has much more of a endurance. He naturally has better endurance than Munguia. So that would be the telling factor between the 2 fighters if they were to fight. All right. So now, how realistic will that fight ever get made? I don't know. I don't see that likely, given the fact that the Golden Boy is still in a litigation battle with the Zone via Canelo Alvarez, which, by the way, Canelo Alvarez has until today to refile his lawsuit to the Zone. So I don't know what time that deadline is expires, but We'll have to wait and see on that one. So yeah, so Munguia, I don't think that's likely right now due to the litigation battle with his own. Then you have Liam Williams. Now Liam Williams is on a pretty good win streak. Well, I'll say somewhat decent win streak after his 2 losses to Liam Smith. Now, you can argue that his greatest win in his record is against Alentes Fox, the same guy who beat Patrick Day, God rest his soul. And then he was in there with Demetrius Andrade, and he lost that fight. And Alentes Fox is a very, very, very tall, big middleweight. I mean, very tall. I mean, it amazes me to see how he can even make that weight, but it is what it is. It's kind of like it reminds me of the stature of Paul Williams. It kind of makes me wonder how he was able to make that weight at welterweight. So it is what it is. Then you go down to number 4. You have Camille Germenta, who, by the way, is fighting Gennady Golovkin in his next bout. And I'm not impressed with Germenta. I saw a couple of his fights, and I'm not impressed by him. If Charlo were ever to make that fight with that guy, I'm not going to. It depends how well he performs against Golovkin, which I think should be a cakewalk for Golovkin, even though Golovkin is at the end of his career, to be honest with you. So I don't. Yeah, I'm not keen on that fight happening. It depends. Again, my mind could be changed if Sermenta puts up a very, very, very good performance to win us over. So we'll see. Masay Selecki. Um, I don't know. I mean, Selecki is, I think, coming off a loss. So I have to take a look. Let me look at his record here. Selecki. Selecki. Let's see. Let's see. There we go. Selecki is coming off a. Yeah, he's coming off a win against somebody we don't know back in his hometown and home country, Poland. He's been there with Danny Jacobs. He's been there with Andrade. He's been there with Gabe Rosado, who he beat. Eagle Centennial Jr., who he beat, the same opponent that Charlo beat, Jermall, that is. And he's been there with Proscott, the same guy that Golovkin beat. So, Selecki will be a decent fight. Definitely be fireworks, but am I keen on seeing that one? Maybe, maybe not. That's like a little bit up in the air on that one. So I don't know. Then you go down to Riano Johnson. He's got an upcoming fight against Jaime Munguia. So to me, the winner of those two the winner between those two will pretty much guaranteed a shot at Jermall Charlo. If whoever the winner if he comes out to be the winner. Now, on the other hand, you go down the list, you got Foseo, then you have Dennis Hogan that Charlo beat. Then you have Kania, who they're still working in the ranks. Brandon Adams that Charlo beat. Gabe Rosado, okay, he's rated. Okay. I mean, can Rosado still make middleweight? I mean, wow. Well, to tell you the truth, he's not really a big super middleweight because he was supposed to go up to fight Danny Jacobs. So, I don't know. Hugo Centennial Jr., Charlo already beat him. Jason Quigley, nah. Juan Macias Montel, nah. Ronald Ellis, nah. Ronald Ellis is working his way up, but nah, not right now. So if you go down the list, what is probably the most probable next opponent for Jermall Charlo? It could be, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't included him in my tag here, and I'm gonna go ahead and update that tag. Give me 1 second here. What's going on, Joe host? Yeah, so give me a second here, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and stop my screen share. There we go. I'm gonna go back here. So if you look at the list, I hate to say it, is probably going to be Selecki. From the looks of it, that probably is going to be his next opponent. Now, Selecki just fought last month. So, I mean, Charlo just came off a good win, very good win. So maybe that would be the next opponent they're going to make. Now, I think Selecki's not signed to the zone, so he doesn't have a TV deal. What's going on, EJ? Yeah, just going over who will be the next probable opponent from Jermall Charlo. Now, the word from the grapevine is Chris Eubank Jr., but Chris Eubank Jr. is not rated by the WBC. He holds the WBA interim title, so he's rated by them. So I guess the WBC will find some way somehow to oversee and override their governing rules to get Chris Eubank to be rated, so that way they could get the Charlo fight going. They'll find some way to do it. But again, Liam Williams, maybe that'd be probable, but Liam Williams is being promoted. Is he promoted by Frank Warren? Help me out, EJ. Is he promoted by Frank Warren? Is he promoted by Matchroom? Now, I mean, Liam Woods would be a be a decent opponent, but I'm not keen on seeing that fight. I think Liam Williams may be biting off more he could chew. I know Lentes Fox is his best win. Some people are going to say, well, he's been proved ever since the Liam Smith fights. He's been on a hot streak, and the Lentes Fox wins was a decent win on a world level, so he may be ready for a Charlo fight. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he is, but I wouldn't mind seeing it. But at the same time, I'm not really keen on it. I really want to see that Munguia fight. That's the one I really want to see, and the Golovkin fight if they could get that done. Now, again, Golovkin's got to get past Armenta, which he expected to do so. And given the fact that the zone is going through some financial problems right now, and given the fact they are trying to get Canelo to to agree to the renege offer of getting guaranteed purse of $20 million instead of 35. Can the zone afford to pay Gennady Golovkin his guaranteed $100 million off of how many fights that he signed on to? I don't think they can, to be honest with you. So if I'm the zone, I have no choice at this point to make a cross network promotion fights, and of course introduce a pay per view platform, whereas they could help recoup some of the money they're putting into these fights. They're gonna have to do it, and to be honest with you, I think the best way that you do that is go ahead and reach out to Showtime or CBS, which is the head of sports, Steven Espinoza. Reach out to him, or Steven Espinoza should reach out to the zone head, John Skipper. Let him. They both sit down, negotiate to get this cross promotional fight done. The zone really have no choice. They don't really have a leg to stand on. I think, to me, that will be the next. That should be the fight that Charlo should go after. Go after Golovkin after he gets past Armenta, or if Armenta fight does fall through somehow, some way. I think that'd be the fight, and I think Gennady Golovkin, if they can give Golovkin a very, very lucrative offer that he can't refuse to turn down, given the fact that he has not been in the ring, he's been, he's recovered, he had enough time to recover after that beating he took from Deverenchenko. So I think that would be the next step that the Charlo, that Jermall Charlo's team and Steven Espinoza over at Showtime should make. Now it depends on the pay-per-view buy rates. We're expecting to see that next couple of days or so. If it does reach over 100,000, then maybe that would be something for them for them to have room to negotiate. Because I expect this pay-per-view to do at least 100,000. If it exceeds over 100,000, I'll be surprised. To be honest with you. I'll be majorly surprised. But other than that, I think that is the next fight they should go for. And as far as the other contenders, Canelo Alvarez. Now I talked about this on EJ channel. Shout out to Fight Doctor. He said that Golovkin will have to take a pay cut. Yeah, he's gonna have to, because the zone is not willing to pay him. I just can't see if the zone's not willing to pay out the Canelo's guaranteed $35 million. Then what makes you believe that they're going to pay out Golovkin's guaranteed money? I just don't. I don't know, man. Like I said, though, I think the zone, for them to kind of recover from a financial standpoint, and they are financially bleeding at this point, they got to they got to do a cross promotional network deal, not only with Showtime and CBS, but they also got to do with Disney and ESPN as well. They got to do it. They have no choice right now. They have no choice. And to me, again, Jermall should be the next fight. He should go after his Gennady Golovkin. As far as Canelo Alvarez is concerned, that's unrealistic, because I think, again, depending on the situation on today, if Canelo's team's going to refile, his legal team's going to refile their lawsuit against the zone, and if he does, and today's the deadline to do so, then I just don't see Canelo Alvarez in the ring anytime soon. So I don't think that fight's going to be realistic at this point. And also, and also there's something I have to add as well, is that can Canelo even make middleweight? I don't think he can. Honestly, given the fact that how big he is and how much he rehydrates, after fights, I don't see, at this point, and given the fact that he's going to be on such a long layoff, if this lawsuit is going to proceed, then I don't see how he can make middleweight. I don't see how, unless he's going to be taking a lot of diuretics. And then I'm not accusing Canelo clenbuterol like he got caught for last time. I'm just saying though. I don't know, man. And also given the fact that the more time he's out of the ring, the more it may favor Charlo, given the fact that Charlo will be more active. So I don't see that fight being realistic. But the fights I do see realistically happening at this point is either the Jaime Munguia fight if he gets past Ariana Johnson, which he's expected to do so, or Liam Smith. It's all good, Kiwi. It's all good, man. It's all good. Oh, you went back to Kiwi box instead of big boys. It's all good, man. Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, we'll talk about Jermell in a second. Yeah, he says that Maul should go try to get Triple G. Yeah, I agree. That's the next fight they should make. They should make that fight. And again, I don't see what leg and what room the zone has to stand on at this point. They cannot hold back on this. They gotta do a cross promotional network deal. They have to do it, and they gotta get a pay-per-view platform. The only way to make money. They gotta do it. They have to. All right. So yeah, great win for Jermall. Now the next question is, does this put him on pound for pound? I mean, it can be an argument. Jermell could definitely is a strong argument given the fact that he is unified champion. He has a ring belt as well. But we'll get to that in a second. It's all good, man. It's all good. It's all good, Kiwi or big boys. All right. So triple fight doctor says that triple duck don't want none. I mean, yeah, depending, here's I will say this though. Yeah, Golovkin did duck the mandatory bout with Charlo. The WBC ordered those two to fight for the mandatory position, and Golovkin avoided that fight. He didn't want no part of it. So again, though, it depends though. Golovkin will probably take the fight if you offer him something that's very lucrative for him to take it. Because at this point of his career, he just wants the big money fights. He's not going to go in there and fight guys, especially at this point of his career where he's taken a lot of punishment and he's been hurt more than ever in his career, and he's very vulnerable at this point. I hate to say this, but Golovkin is a knockout waiting to be waiting to happen at this point. I don't think his chin and his punch resistance is the same anymore after that Derevchenko fight. It's not the same anymore. So, yeah, that will be yet to be seen, fight doctor. But let me get you guys in the chat real quickly and chop it up, and then I'm gonna go over to Jermell real quickly and see who he let me see. Jump on. I'm live. Jump on. I'm live. All right. I'm live. Jump in. All right. All right. Cool. All right. So we'll see. That's better, big boys. It's all good, dog. But you still Kiwi. You still Kiwi though. But yeah. So yeah, I definitely think the more realistic fight would be Munguia if he gets past Darion Johnson. But of course, that's going to be a bit challenging given the fact that again, the Golden Boy situation and the yeah, it's gonna be tough. So we'll see. All right, let's get all you guys in. I got EJ, I got Battle Rifle, and I got the Fight Doctor. What's going on, fellas?
What's going on, Dan? What's up, Fight Doctor? What's up, Battle? What's up, man?
What's up? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. Hey, shout out to Tommy Tipper in the chat, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you guys. So I'm looking at the rankings, man. I want to get you guys to take on it. I'm gonna go down the line like I always say here. So I'm gonna start with who came in first. I'm gonna start with you, Fight Doctor. So who do you see the realistic fight for Jermall Charlo?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, it should be, he should get either Golovkin, the triple duck, or he should get Canelo next, right? I mean,
Right.
He's been near the top of the division. Right now, he's at the top of the division for a long time, undefeated. You know,
Right.
these guys have had all their drama, Canelo and Golovkin.
Right.
You know,
Wildfire Doctor, carry on.
Well, you're there, fight doctor.
Technical problems.
Probably technical problem. Yeah, we'll get back to fight doctor after momentarily. EJ, so what's your take on it, man? I'm not sure if you ever heard me reading down the list of rankings at the WBC. So, what do you think would be a more realistic fight next for Jermall Charlo? You think it would be Jaime Munguia if he gets past Ariana Johnson? You think it'd be Selecki, or what do you think it'd be Liam Williams?
Liam Williams. Yeah, but the thing is, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, listen, it's funny, right? Because when he fights, let's see how much criticism he gets, because Canelo don't get no criticism. I think whoever he fights, with WBC #1 contender, I think he'll deal with them quite handily. I think he got the skill set to beat them. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the mandatory, I'm not really. I hear what you're saying, but that's like a year later or whatever. I don't know, like, but because he just beat the, Demetrenko. Yeah, Demetrenko was supposed to be like this feared guy who beat up Golovkin, like coming into that fight, and my man is handling him, bro. Listen, I whoever it is, Eubank Jr. I like to see that fight. I know you haven't mentioned, but that's what I want to see. Eubank versus Charlo. That for the UK over here, and also for the American public, it's a name. He talks, his dad, and he's got something going on there. I think that would be a logical guy. PBs, they're both on the PBC. It should be easy to make. I would want to see that fight. I know you didn't mention him as the guy for the WBC, but a voluntary, I'd love to see that fight. Just and then go on to Booby Andrade. But really, now I want to see Eubank. I know he's not on the WBC ranking, so to speak, but that's the fight I want to see. I would love to see that fight.
Yeah. Quickly though, shout out to Kurt Anderson, Kurt Sugar in the chat, and shout out to Tex and Terrence, man. Kurt Sugar said that Canelo. Yeah, I did mention Canelo briefly, and obviously I don't think that fight's realistic at the point, given Canelo's legal situation with the Zone. Which, by the way, today's his deadline to refile the lawsuit against the Zone and Golden Boy. Now, Canelo, he says that Canelo doesn't look like he's going back down to 160. To me, I don't think he's going to do that either. I just can't see how. But he still hold on to the middleweight titles there in the lineal ship. So I would love to see the Canelo fight next, but that's not realistic at this point. I don't think Canelo will want that fight, given the fact he's been out of the ring for so long, and Charles been more active. So I don't know, man. What do you take on the Canelo situation? Do you see Canelo going back down, and do you see his situation with the Zone being resolved as quick as we would hope it would be?
In my opinion, hopefully, I want. Hopefully, you know what I mean. I hope the Zone don't give him dog shit and he leaves and go PVC. To be honest with you, you know what I mean. If they can't honor their contract and give him what he wants for, but he's being petty as well. I mean, in this current era, why you ain't fighting no one? And like the Zone was like, why am I giving you money and you're fighting like Ildridge? You know what I'm saying? Like Ildridge bum. I ain't giving you no money. Like, you can go kick rocks, man. They shouldn't give him nothing. They should tell him, like, they should. What event? I think which should happen. They should pay him off and get him off the books, man. Because at the end of the day, we don't know how long this Kronos thing is going to go on for, and he's going to continue fighting bums and draining the money. So just get him off the books, save your money, and this mark it down as this relationship didn't work, because at least with Andy Joshua gave you what you wanted.
Right.
Triple G's not giving. Most of the guys they signed to the big contract, they're taking the money and just being liberties. Remember, this was supposed to be a chess move, you know. The Zone was buying all the players so they can monopolize the board. And then they realized they're just trying to stay afloat. So if I was them, get rid of the loose cargo and drop him in the seat. That's what I would say. That's what I would do. And let him come to the BBC and leave De La Hoya and be an independent contractor. Come on Showtime where your Mexican audience can see your fights. And renegotiate with because he should buy out. They should let him buy him out, because I don't want to be with you. Go to Showtime, renegotiate a contract which is feasible, maybe 100 million for 3 fights or something like that. And that's what you should do. That's what I think.
Right, fair enough. I see some people come in the chat. Shout out to Neutral. Neutral's Kurt Sugar does agree with you, EJ. He says that Eubank is the logical next opponent, and Neutral said that Canelo needs to vacate the belt. At this point, I think he should vacate the middleweight belts because I just don't see how he's going to even he can make the weight. The fact that he's going to be in litigation battle for such a, from the looks of it, he could be in litigation battle for a long time, and I mean, he's got to give up the belts. And hey, shout out to El Dude. I know you, El Dude, had a little bit of beef at the time, EJ, but he says that hey, Jermall versus Riata Marata makes sense and puts pressure on Canelo on both the WBC and WBA. You know what to think about that? If Canelo does get stripped of the WBA title at middleweight, the super title, Marata is the regular champion. He could get upgraded, and then they could somehow make that unification bout. Now, to me, that's one of the easy fights for Charlo. I'm sorry, Marata has a style that's tailor made for Jermall Charlo. Tailor made.
100%. 100%.
And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'll get to battle in a second. I'll get back to Fight Doctor. I know he just got off due to technical difficulties back. But I will say this though: Marata does hit very hard. Now, does he hit harder? Does he hit harder than Derevchenko? No, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. But yeah, that's a good point, El Dude. That's a good point. Hey, so Battle, what's up, man? What do you think? What do you think Jamal's next opponent should be at this point, realistically?
Okay, so I hate to see you have to do your job twice, damn man. But what did Jermall say after the fight? Because I didn't order the pay-per-view, so I couldn't remember what he said. Did he say he wasn't planning on moving to 168?
Well, he says that he's the best now, so he's ready to take on all comers from what he said. So basically, he's calling everybody out. So what do you think he should fight next, realistically?
I was under the impression that he was going to move up probably after this fight, but
Why?
you know that's
Why would he move to middleweight?
Who else is there for him to fight though at 160? Like he's just like there's really nobody else that wants to fight him. It doesn't seem that he wants to fight Demetrius Andrade for some reason, for some odd reason.
Okay.
And then the fight with Canelo is more likely not going to happen. And then you probably got what else?
Well, you got those are two guys. Okay, I mean you got Canelo and Andrade. Those are probably I agree. Those probably are not realistic fights at this point, even though they both.
Yeah, and who's it going to fight? Rob Brandt? Like I mean, like
I read the list, man. You got Liam Williams. You got Jaime Munguia, who should be the number one rated guy after he beats Ariana Johnson because he's rated right after Derevchenko, who was rated number one. So Jaime Munguia is a very good fight to take. Then you have Selecki, who's rated there, and then that's about it. Other than that, you got Eubank Jr. too, who's in the PBC, who's the interim champion. Even though he's not rated by the WBC, but they're both promoted by the PBC, so they can managed by the PBC, I should say. I gotta watch my mouth here. And
it's gonna be a catchweight fight or something?
No, Eubank is middleweight. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I forgot to mention Jared Hurd. Jared Hurd could be a realistic opponent. He's moving up to middleweight. So why not make that fight? Well, I don't think Jared Hurd will want it right now because he's still coming. He hasn't had. Did he have a tune-up fight after that? After the
J-Rock loss? I'm not sure. I had to look it up, but honestly, with him, with the stuff he pulled, when he was unified junior middleweight champion. And he tried to say he needed 3 more tune-ups to fight Jermell. I don't see it happening anytime soon either. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I like Jared Hurd, but he is far more vulnerable than Golvokin in my view, because Jared is a punching bag. Let's be real, he's a punching bag. The way he was getting pieced up against Lara, the way he was getting pieced up by Tony Harrison, the way he was getting pieced up by J-Rock. Obviously, and he was getting pieced up by what's his name? Jason on the undercard of Wilder versus Fury, the first fight. Well, you know the guy EJ, that UK cat that was promoted by Frank Warren. Jason, what's that guy's last name? But
Wellborn.
Yeah, Wilburn. There you go. Yeah, Wilburn. Even though that fight only lasted 4 rounds, but he was piecing up on Jared Hurd. So, I mean, look, it's
honestly, he would have to fight then.
What's up?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Honestly, then he would have to fight. I can't really do his name. I'm just gonna say Marata. I guess that's the best fight he can make then. Or Chris Eubank, but I think I go
What?
ahead.
No, go ahead. My bad.
You straight. I was just saying that honestly, it seemed like in the past that fight was going to happen, but it never did. So I kind of don't see Chris Eubank Jr. happening either. So I'll just say for right now, Murata.
Murata? Okay, fair enough. So, Fight Doctor, I know you were, had some technical difficulties, but you came back in, man. So, you want to go ahead and finish chiming up on this?
Yeah, no. I honestly I don't know who Charlo will face next, but I mean, in all honesty, it should be either Golovkin or Canelo. One of those two
Right.
guys should be his next fight. Will I think it happened? No. I mean, those guys are ducking,
Right.
and for good reason. Charlo looks the part.
Right.
In terms of Jared Hurd, I think Hurd should stay well away from Charlo, the elder.
Yeah.
I think Charlo would utterly destroy him in his career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. I agree because Jared Hurd, even though he's only had a short pro career, he's taken way too much damage, especially that early in his career. Way too much damage. Yes, you can argue they're against war level opponents, but still, though, that just goes to show he relies too much on his chin and his endurance to get him through fights. But that can only take you so far because nobody expected him to get hurt and rocked and put down by J Rock, who recently got beat by Jermall, so got knocked out badly. So I mean, fight styles makes fights. I get it. I mean, who knows if they do make that fight? Jared Hurd could surprise us because to me he rehydrates much higher weight than Charlo does.
Well, so you have a guy in Jared Hurd, a guy who is probably a 68 pounder,
right,
hiding at 154, and the come forward block punches with your face style, it doesn't lend to a lengthy career.
Right.
And we've seen that already because we've seen the guy, take a lot of punishment in fights and get knocked out,
Right.
So as he moves up the scale, I don't know that that's going to actually help his punch resistance. Yeah. But what I do know is that the guys at 160 are punching harder than the guys at 154.
Right.
So, I would expect that Jared Hurd is probably not going to be in the sport too much longer.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's only so much time he can spend at 154. Sooner or later, he's going to have to move up.
Right. I agree with that. I mean, besides, he was struggling to make 154 anyway. He would rehydrate nearly over goddamn 176 pounds near light heavyweight, in fights. So, just the same thing. Munguia was a big 154. He was struggling to make that weight for a while, and then he had to move up to 160. So, yeah, some very good points here. See, Kurt Anderson did. It's like everybody's agreeing that the Eubank and Charlo fight would be probably the next fight to make. I expect him to get past Eubank, but Eubank does move around and he's pretty quick. So he's not going to make that fight easy for Charlo. Let's be real. It's not going to be easy for him. Let me see. Shout out to Coach Shell Harrison. He said that Charlo versus Jacob would be a good fight. Yeah, that would be a good fight, but Jacobs can't make that middleweight. He can't make 160 anymore. So he has to move up to 168. So I don't see that happening anytime soon, to be honest with you. Billy Joe Saunders, no. I mean, Billy Joe, I don't know what he's doing in his career, so I'm leaving him out of this conversation. To be honest with you, I'm leaving him out of this conversation. Neutral says that Munguia is a garbage fighter. I mean, well, hey, it's your opinion, man.
I beg to differ. I'd beg to differ.
You beg to differ on that one? Yeah,
that'd be a very interesting. That'd be a very interesting fight.
Yeah, it's an interesting fight. Munguia is not garbage, but he could definitely improve. I mean, he has, I think in the Dennis Hogan and the Inouye fight, you can argue that he was regressing, and then when he moved up to middleweight and fought Spike O'Sullivan, you can say he's improved. He started to progress in that particular fight. So we'll see here. Dutra says that I want to see Charlo versus Caleb Plant down the line because I think Charlo beats Billy Joe Saunders and he'll beat Callum Smith too, plus both from the South. Billy Joe will be a very, very more difficult fight, but Callum Smith will probably be a more winnable fight. But again, Callum Smith is a very big dude. He's probably longer too. So that is not going to be easy for Charlo because he's fighting a much bigger guy in Callum Smith. All right. Let me see what else here we got. Neutral says that Canelo is doing exactly what Pacquiao is doing. He says that he believes that Canelo is waiting for guys to look weak, and then once they look bad, he's gonna fight. So, do you guys agree with that, EJ?
What's the question?
Neutral says that Canelo is doing exactly what Pacquiao's doing. He'll fight you if you look bad in your previous fight.
Yeah, 100%. That's what he does, isn't it? You know what I mean? Pacquiao, you know, Pacquiao's known for that, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true, and that's probably why he fought Thurman, because Thurman did not look good at all against José Lopez. He looked bad in his comeback fight. He looked bad. And I remember Zone was defending that fight as best he could, but nah, man. But yeah,
I've been saying it for a while now that Alvarez is the most protected fighter in boxing. Period. He's protected, and I don't think, especially with the big fat DAZN contract, I think that was basically the reason and excuse for him not to fight any stiff opposition. And you know, we look at his couple of last fights. You know, it's been something with the weight, or just always been something. You know, just something. You know, if you remove the Golovkin fights from the equation, there's always been something going on. There was something going on with the Kovalev fight. And, you know, there's just always some extra going on.
Yeah, same thing with Jacob's fight too, because word from the grapevine is there was a rehydration clause in that fight, not at the weigh-in, but like the day after the weigh-in, there was a rehydration clause. The same thing with the Kovalev fight, there was a rehydration clause the day after the weigh-in. So it makes me wonder why Charlo turned that fight down. And one, we do know one of the reasons that the preparation time was one of the reasons, and two, could it be possible that Canelo was trying to get a catch weight in there? Not a catch weight, I'm sorry, a rehydration clause like he did those last two opponents. So could that be possible? I mean, look, again, you know, I wish that fight's coming off, but that's not going to happen, guys. So plain and simple. I'm going to get to Jermell Charlo in a second, but I'm going to go down the comments real quickly. Neutral says that Jared Hurd is a new trainer, is K Corona, who also trains after a job, by the way. And I mean, I don't know if he could improve a job at all. I mean, based off his last performance against what's his name? Damn, what's the guy name he fought? But anyways, it skips my mind. But anyways, Jared Anderson, he also trains for Core Stevenson. Yeah, I mean, he got some good fighters, K Corona, but you know, if job, I don't know if he can improve that guy, to be honest with you. That guy says in the chat, he says that would Hurd beat Munguia right now? Oh man, that's a good question. What do you guys think on that one? If Hurd and Munguia fought right now, who would win that fight? I want to start with you, EJ.
Jaime Munguia versus the Charlo?
No, versus Jared Hurd.
Oh, Jared Hurd? Man, Jared Hurd shot to bits. Jared Hurd shot to bits, man. That's that.
Well, I don't know, man. Like that's I mean, don't get me wrong, Jared Hurd can take a punch, man. But Jaime Munguia be throwing them nasty uppercuts, man. Like he might end up putting him on his butt. And he despite how Jaime Munguia looked in his last few fights, he's always looked fresher than Hurd since the loss.
Right. True. Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with EJ on this one, because I think that fight out of that J-Rock Williams fight took something out of Jared Hurd. I'm being honest. I'm being very honest. It took something out of him. You could tell when he how he approached that fight with J-Rock. He just looked, I don't know, he looked very gun shy, and he just looked, something was off about him in that fight. I don't know what it is, man. I mean, I could be reading too much into it. And then, you know, he did get a tune-up fight against Francisco Santana earlier this year in January, but you know, he took that fight with the distance. But I have to agree with EJ on that one. I think Jared Hurd a shot after that. If they
you mean Battle Rifle?
Battle Rifle. I mean, I agree with EJ. That's what I'm saying. I agree with EJ Battle. It's just that that guy, you know, the commenter guy in the chat. To answer your question, I don't think Jared Hurd beats right now. I don't think, and I like Jared Hurd. Don't get me wrong. I praised him a lot, but you know, after that J-Rock fight, and then he going the distance against a journeyman in Francisco Santana, I just don't see him being the same fighter after that fight. You could argue that the Laura fight took something out of him too, to some degree, but it was more so that J-Rock fight, and he has not been the same. So I'm going to favor Munguia.
Yeah.
So basically, you agree with battle rifle then?
No, you just said that. No, you said Jared Hurd could win that fight, didn't you not?
No, that was EJ.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. What you talking about? What you listening to about?
Wait. Didn't you just say Hurd get pieced up?
No, man. Yeah. That's me. How they win?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought you said Hurd pieces Munguia up, and then I said I don't know. Maybe you thought.
Hurd. Yeah, come on. Yeah, EJ didn't say that battle. He said that Hurd's going to get pieced up.
You know what I meant, Dad, because I thought he said that Hurd pieces up Munguia, and then I was like, I don't know. That's why I said Munguia throws those nasty uppercuts. Because I was under the impression that even with the chin that he has, that it's not going to be enough for him to get through that onslaught.
Right. So Fight Doctor, what do you think about that potential fight, Hurd versus Munguia? Who do you think is going to win that fight?
Yeah, well, that's the thing about Mexicans is that typically those guys, when you want to stand and trade, fight in the pocket, that's how they come up. That's what they do. And typically a Mexican fighter who gets to be on the higher echelon of things, he's had to go through a lot of other guys who wanted to stand in front of him and trade.
Right.
So that means he's probably got a good chin and he's probably got a halfway decent punch. And if you stand in front of him, he's probably going to beat the dog shit out of you. And if you don't have defense, I would like Munguia. I think I like Munguia in that fight. Hurd is done for the most part. I think it's a wrap for him.
Right. Yeah. So what's up, El Dude? What's going on, brother?
El Dude.
Hey, salute, gentlemen.
Salute, brother. What's going on? So what's
El Dude, you're not running like a chicken. You're not running like a chicken.
Salute, ZJ. Salute, brother.
Hey,
family, how's it going?
Good, brother. Good to have you in the panel, man. So, hey, let me ask your take on this, man. Who do you think realistically that Jermall Charlo will fight next? I know you made some comments in the chat, but I want to get your take on it on the record.
Yeah, I truly believe he should go after Murata because Murata's like the regular champion at the WBA, and I think that would definitely put pressure on. I'm with my kids right here, so I apologize for the back noise, but
it's all good.
So yeah, I think going to put pressure on Canelo because I think the diehard boxing fans, they legitimately see that fight being the best fight for boxing, Canelo versus Charlo, rather than Canelo versus like Golovkin. Triple G. Yeah, Golovkin. Yeah. But I think Andrade, he's in a different type of marketing advisement, I would call it, and I think he's doing something very well right now. He's a champion at the WBO. He should wait. He should wait for Munguia because Munguia is also young, unexperienced, and he's coming up. He has that clout. I think it's the easiest fight with most credibility for Andrade to fight, and it makes sense. It's an in-house fight because against Charlo, I favor Charlo. Right. Triple G's on the way out. I think either of these guys could beat him, but I think it's like a money bag with the zone and that trilogy in Canelo, if you know what I mean.
Right. That's a good point there. Now, speaking of Murata, see, here's the thing though that kind of gets a little bit complex here is that the Murata is a regular champion. He's not the super champion. Canelo is at middleweight. So typically the WBA does not, or the WBC or any other sanctioned bodies, IBF, WBO, they do not recognize the regular championship. Only on certain circumstances they would recognize it, but they don't. Normally they don't. So to me, I don't know if you agree with this. I don't think Canelo can make 160, and given this fact that he's in a litigation battle with the Zone and Golden Boy, he should vacate that WBA, the middleweight titles, and let all the champions fight for it, in my view. So in that situation, if he does get stripped or he vacates the WBA super title, then that puts Murata the super champion. Then from there, you can make that unification bout between Murata and Charlo. So I mean, it is an interesting fight, but to me, that's a style that's all tailor made for Jermall Charlo. Let's be real. Murata is very slow-footed.
Definitely.
He's very slow-footed. I mean, he doesn't move in angles. I mean, Derevchenko is a boxer. He moves in angles. He was much quicker on his feet, and he doesn't really have the fastest hands. He can punch hard. I'll give him that. But his style is just tailor-made. He's a knockout waiting to happen. Let me just be honest.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I mean, it's an entertaining fight, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, bro. No, I was just gonna say that if Canelo, is the WBA regular champion under Kalen Smith, and why shouldn't Charlo do the same? You know what I mean, against Murata? And then if Canelo's getting all this praise for getting another, it should be all fair. You know what I mean? It's a new trend.
Oh yeah,
it's a new trend. You know, picking up titles here and there, and they're getting clout. Charlo should do the same. You know what I mean?
Right, that's a good point because think about it. Canelo is the regular super middleweight champion, and then he was going to fight for the vacant WBC title. So why would the WBC, recognize him as a champion, but not the other regular champions? So that is a good point you make. So if that's the case, then Murata should get that benefit of the doubt, just like Canelo is, if he wants to fight for the WBC title against Charlo, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, it should be fair, even across the board, you know what I mean? And not just favor one fighter. I think that'll also put pressure on Canelo, knowing that he has 2 titles and there's another legitimate champion under him who's considered the regular champion, and the fans are really calling for that fight. So, and you know how Billy Joe Saunders is ducking out of these fights. He doesn't want smoke. So, and Charlo wants to smoke. So, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah. So we got Greg Aberdeen in the chat, man. He's from the UK. Shout out to Greg Aberdeen. He says that look, Charlo is hard to beat at this point. I really hope he fights Eubank because Eubank talks a lot of smack, and I guess Greg doesn't like Eubank, so he wants that fight and he wants Eubank to be pieced up. Tommy Tipper, Tommy says in the chat, Billy Joe looks great on that nasal spray. Wow. Yeah, Greg says that wishes Andrade, but we know that's not going to happen. Yeah, look, Andrade needs to do something, man. He does a lot of talking, but no action. I'm not saying he's not a good fighter, but he needs to do something, man. I mean, you got to do something. Instead of talking, go out there and try to make the fights. Please get your team to go call the other teams to sit down and negotiate for the fights. Okay, please do that. All right, that's all I'm begging for Andrade. All right. So. Hey, L Dude, since I got you on the chat, man, I got to ask you this question. I know I've been asking around about this, but your boy, L Dog, can you explain to me why he scored that fight from Derevchenko 2 nights ago, 8-4? How did he come up with that?
That's probably just tipsy, watching on some freezing stream that probably froze on him with an uppercut. When you watch that fight, Charlo takes it. I actually predicted a draw in that fight. I was thinking a draw was going to occur, and so I was kind of being biased, pushing for the draw just to rub it in the face of those who I predicted it against. So I was like, yeah, I hope the draw comes in. But yeah, I was favoring Charlo. Also, I thought Charlo was going to either win by knockout or Derevchenko was going to push it into the later rounds by a decision. Yeah. And my prediction was close. I mean, it was close enough. I do see it 7-5. I don't argue if somebody saw it a draw, but no, I didn't. Honestly, I don't see Derevchenko winning that fight.
Okay, fair enough. You scored a 7-5, right, for Charlo?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. But I like to see. I want L Dude to come on here. L Dog. I want L Dog to come on here because I want him to give us an explanation. How did he get an 8 for Derevchenko? Because I love to see that his reasoning. I know EJ wants to eat that up too.
He probably saw with an uppercut or something, a punch hit and it froze. And it was there for like and he just stayed there for a couple of rounds.
Yeah, I heard him on Rivals live stream. He's talking about the Eastern European fighter got screwed over the cards again. I think that's what he said. I'm like, I think some of the guys were like, "What are you talking about?" And Mark challenged them on that. It's like, what fight were you watching?
No, I think Unbiased on Rivals or Unbiased.
Yeah, it was a Rival who challenged.
On Rivals.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, because I know Unbiased had a 7-5 for Charlo as well.
Yeah. I scored a 6-5-1 for Charlo, and like I said, 8-4 is a good score. I can't argue against that. But it's no way that you can argue Charlo won more than 9 rounds. He didn't win more than 9 rounds in my view.
Hey, that's a fight of the year, I think, candidate for sure, man. That was a good
absolutely,
fight.
I agree with that. But
there's no way. TV in the background, man. Someone got the TV in the background. Is that
I think that's El Dude. He's got.
Yeah, you want to turn the volume down on your TV, but go on, carry on, because
yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good. But yeah, I just want your take on it. But let's move off of.
EJ, I'm tired of you blaming me every time there's background noise.
Well, it is now. You got kids there, bro.
You know the funny thing about it, right? Battle was the one who said I pick what's his name again? What's his name again? That boy is gonna get punched up. What's his name?
Hurd.
Yeah,
you picked my gear over. You picked my good.
Yeah. it works backwards and forwards. You know, I always blame you for something about. Come on, you know how it is.
Hey, let's move on to this. Let's move on to this. To Jermell now, because let's bring this up right here.
Real quick. Apologize, brother.
Go.
May I get my opinion on Jared Hurd?
Yeah. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
You know. I think what happened to him is that he's struggling to make weight, and when he's rehydrating, it drains his energy. So when he comes fight night, he doesn't have the energy to throw punches, because when you drain yourself and you rehydrate yourself, your body's wasting energy to consume the food and the energy that you right away consume. So it takes a lot of out you. So I think Hurd should just be moving up. I don't think he should be anywhere near that particular weight anymore.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree with that. But 160 though, don't you think he's biting more than he can chew, because he's fighting a lot of bigger punchers up there?
I'm thinking 168. I'm thinking 168. I think he'll do really good at 168.
You think he'll do good at 168?
Yeah, I think he'll match people's speed at 168.
Really? Against Calvin Smith? I mean, that guy is huge. Calvin Smith, David Benavidez. I mean, those are very huge guys at 168.
But Hurd got some power on him too, so they haven't faced some of that in your face aggression too. You know what I mean? So.
Well, that's true. They haven't. I mean, well, technically, David Benavidez have fought in that caliber like Ronald Quinlan. I'm not saying Ronald Quinlan is as good as Hurd, but Quinlan was not Quinlan. I'm sorry. What's that cat's name? He beat him for his first reign at super middleweight champion.
I think Hurd got more dog in him than Caleb Smith face to face. I don't know about Plant, but that'll be a good fight, I think.
Yeah, Plant is probably obviously he's a smaller man out of the super middleweights. He's not that big of a super middleweight, but he's definitely got the attributes and the skills and the ability. But I mean, Hurd to skip middleweight up to super middleweight, I don't think that's feasible, man. I don't think that's feasible. But at the same time, I don't know, man. I don't think at this point of his career I mean, I'm not saying he can't compete, but I think he's shot at this point. He's a shot fighter, because he's taken a lot of damage before the Lara fight. He was taking damage against Tony Harrison. Of course, Terry Harrison. I think Tony Harrison, the reason why he got stopped is because of the fact that he just couldn't. He just lost energy. He fatigued. Same thing with Austin Trout. And credit to Jared Hurd, he's the only guy to stop Austin Trout, but he took damage in that fight as well. So I mean, a lot of punishment in that fight as well. To say then the Lara fight definitely did something there, and then of course obviously the J-Rock fight. So I don't know, man. At this point, I think he's shot. That's my take on it. But let's move on to Jermell now. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up in the banner real quickly. So what's next for Jermell Charlo? Now he's the unified 154-pound champion. He's the ring mag champion as well. So he's got 3 belts: the IBF, the WBA, and the WBC. The only belt left is the WBO, and we know who the champion is there. So now, realistically, I'm going to bring up the rankings for the 154. Let me go down here. So Jermell has, 154 is a talented division, but it's not as deep as middleweight. So let's see what we got here. You got, let me see. You got Eric Lubin. He's now rated number 1 again by the WBC. I don't know. I don't think we should want to see that fight now. I don't think Lubin wants that fight at this point. You got Tony Harrison still hanging around. You got J-Rock still hanging around. You got let me see. Jesse Vargas is rated by the WBC as 154 pounds. Oh boy. Okay. Tim Zhu.
I think they're making I think they're going to turn him into a franchise champion just to go after the undisputed.
You think so?
I'm like 99% positive. I think it's going to happen.
Well, to me, the franchise champion is not a champion because first things first is just a status. You're not really recognized. I mean, let me just say this: when you go into a fight, the announcers don't call you the WBC franchise champion. They just call you the other champion. That's all they do. I mean, the PA. So, I mean, the franchise championship is not even a belt, to be honest with you, man. I'm not sure if you agree with that, man. It's just a status just to get you from not fighting mandatories. I think it's bullshit that the WBC's even implemented that. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me, Eldu, but I want to get the other guys' opinion on this, EJ and Fight Doctor. So, Eldu, I'll start with you. Do you really think the franchise belt is a legitimate belt? Eldu?
Oh, my bad. I thought you were asking EJ for a second. No, I actually think because of what it comes down to the other sanctioning bodies agreeing who the WBC considers their main champion.
Right.
And I know that WBA and the WBC they're like in accordance with the super champion and the franchise champion. They do respect each other's, supreme champion at that particular division that they're claiming. The other two are the ones that are in question. The IBF and the WBO are always contesting it. I think because with the Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez, it's going to come down to how they announce the fight at the end or at the beginning, if it is for undisputed or not. They could. I think it comes down to a vote if they do recognize it or not. But I think the ultimate decision does come from the WBC, who they recognize as their number one. But I money. These fights make a lot of money too. You know what I mean? And I think the WBC is going to respect what they're doing with the franchise. I think creating another title is what they do to make money.
Right.
I do see Charlo getting elevated. I also Charlo's already elevated at the WBA, so there should be no argument with the WBA and the WBC agreeing to Charlo being elevated as well. But that fight at the end even if he doesn't get elevated, he still has to. The next hurdle is Bob Arum, because isn't Bob Arum promoting that Teixeira, whatever his name is?
No, it's Gold. I think he's with Golden Boy.
He's with Golden Boy.
I think he's with Golden Boy. I could be wrong, but I think he's with Golden Boy. But other than that, I mean, I don't know, man. Here's the difference here. The franchise championship does not require you to fight mandatories. The WBA super title does, but not the WBA franchise. The franchise, the only thing it tells you is that you're a franchise champion. You don't have to fight mandatories. But if, like, let's say, for example, Charlo's situation, let's say, since he is the WBC champion, Canelo could just swoop in there and get a shot at him without going through the line like the other guys are doing. That's what I have a problem with. It's kind of like similar to the champion emeritus status in a way. You know what I mean? So I got a problem with that franchise status. To me, that shouldn't be recognized. I mean, EJ, what are your thoughts on that?
What the franchise? Yeah, the franchise champion is for the WBC to save their guys and to make them choose who they want to fight and stuff like that. And also making money. You know what I mean? I was just looking at the rankings. Are we talking about the 154, 160 right now?
Yeah, we're talking about what
154.
We were talking about 154. Yeah.
All right, 154. When I look at the thing's undisputed. Like back in the days, all you need to do is get 3 belts, and you'd have been undisputed. So really, I know people say, "Oh, he needs to get the WBO," but like back in the days, it was just 3 belts. I know they've moved the goalposts, so you need to get the WBO. But I was looking at the WBO champion. His name's Patrick. You check 0. Yeah, bro. You know what? I change it up now with that Charlo. He needs to go after the WBO champion, because I looked down. I saw that guy lost against Curtis Stevenson. He got knocked out. And I know Charlo's better than Curtis Stevenson. So I think what you do, you put some. You got the Showtime. You just done pay-per-view. Now it's time to become undisputed and shut the division down. Let everyone have to come see him. So that's what I would do. I mean, if you got 3 belts, I know. Lara's the regular champion, right? But if you shut down the division, shut the hatch on the division, and get the WBO belt and have it undisputed, I think you have a real powerful bargaining power if you want to move up or you wanted to sit there and defend it. And I think the most public recognize you as the number 1 undisputed champion. I mean, they recognize him number 1 already because you got 2 belts, right?
3.
But 3. You're right. 3. He should be undisputed, and no one's even. Like that's a huge, incredible accomplishment, and then people just kind of sweep it underneath the carpet, man. So shut down the division, become undisputed at 154. But ain't happened since last person who did it, I believe, was Ronald Winky Wright.
Yeah, Winky Wright. Yeah,
even Ronald Winky White had 3 belts. He didn't need to get the WBO because the WBO was there. They didn't recognize it as a real legit world title, but they do now. So I think that's what he needs to do. Just clap down the division, beat that guy there. And I think you're on, and people are like, "Oh, who's this guy?" It doesn't matter. You become undisputed. I'm undisputed. I'm the best in the division. Everyone needs to come see me and make history for yourself. So I think that's what he needs to go do. What was the question? What was the answer to your question? Sorry, what was it again?
Well, do you recognize the WBC is a legitimate? I mean, the franchise champion is a legitimate belt.
No, I don't recognize that. I see that as a duck. I see that as a duck. So people accept being the franchise champion. They ducking Lomachenko over Devin Haney, what's his name again? Obviously, and it was invented for Canelo, because I reckon after Canelo, if he leaves certain thing, I reckon they're gonna get scrap that franchise thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's invented for people to duck, and I think the fighters who accept it, they should be ashamed of themselves. That's what I feel.
I agree with that. No fighter should shame that unless you're like at the end of your career and you want to just like look for one more fight in there too. I can understand that, but not at the prime of your career. You should be you should not be accepting no franchise status. No, forget that. You should not do that. If Deontay Wilder did that shit, trust me, I'll come after him. I'll criticize him for doing that. So, but what I was going to say there real quickly though, Texera is supposed to be since we're talking about Texera, he's supposed to be making a fight Tim Tszyu. Now, to me, if that fight does get made, think Tim Tszyu is going to win that fight. If Tim Tszyu wins it, how do you favor Tim Tszyu versus Jermell Charlo fight? How do you see that?
Ass whooping same way again. Ass whooping same way. They're gonna get that WBO belt, and they're gonna say Charlo needs to come Australia. So this is the thing, right? Wilder let the belts go from America. He had Charles Martin, and Charles Martin had the IBF. He's the WBC. He should have listen. Al Heyman should have broke the bank and gave Charles Martin whatever money they wanted. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then that would have cut down. You're letting people live. You're letting people breathe. So if I was Charlo, I'd bring a counter offer on Showtime, your biggest high payday, in front of American audience. And I think the Brazilians should go that way. They don't want to go to Australia where no one even watches that fight and it's barely going to get 2 views. So Al Heyman needs to shut Costa Tszyu out and make that Costa Tszyu come to America. This is what I'm trying to say. Tim Tszyu.
Nah, he's a big draw. He's a big draw in Australia, but he hasn't got the belt.
Hamid, I understand that, but what I'm trying to say to you, this is the Americans need to shut down the hatch. You need to claim the Charlo brothers, whatever you want. They're American, they're young, they're brash, they're bringing like the middleweight division. You guys haven't had an American middleweight champion for years.
No,
bro.
I agree with you.
The last guy credible was probably Jermaine Taylor. Credible was Jermaine Taylor. I think other people had it after that, but the Charlo brothers are doing something that I feel the boxing in the middleweight division needs. They're calling out names. They're trying to fight the best, and I think you shut down the division. I think if Tim Tszyu fights Charlo, I think Tim Tszyu gets that work. Go ahead, Hamid.
No, I was saying before he gets a belt. Yeah, I agree with you because that Patrick Teixeira guy is probably a guy who's holding on to a belt similar to how Jeff Horn did, and he's going to lose. I know Tim Tszyu is Australian like Jeff Horn, but that guy looks like he might have a future. The only thing is, if he gets that belt, that could be a big fight in Australia, because we've seen with Pacquiao going to Australia, the Australians do show up for the fights. I don't know whether or not they'd probably win the purse bid or get the rights, but if I was Charlo, I agree. I would try and get the WBO belt before a guy like Tim Tszyu gets it, because once he wins, he'll be undisputed champion. Then he's probably got nothing else to prove at that weight. But regarding the middleweight division, it's probably a bit different, because a lot of the other middleweights are not on the PBC side. But I wasn't too mad with Charlo fighting Derevchenko rather than, even though the Andrade fight would have been under unification, I thought on paper Derevchenko and Charlo was a better fight in terms of styles wise. I thought it was a really good fight. The fight delivered as well.
Right, fair enough. But let me ask you this, man. I know Fight Doctor haven't spoken in a while, but let me get Fight Doctor's opinion on the WC franchise, and I'll get your opinion afterwards. So, Fight Doctor, do you think the franchise belt is a legitimate belt and should be recognized?
So, well, here's my take on it. My belief is that none of the belts are legitimate.
Yeah, I forgot the lineal championship. That's the one, right?
The lineal title is the only title that holds any weight. It's the only title that means anything. The WBC, BA, IBF, WBO, ABC, 1, 2, 3.
What if there's no lineal champion? What do you do?
Exactly. And I was going to ask that. Good question, Ahmed.
They still hold it. They don't mean anything.
Since there's no lineal champion right now, those belts still don't mean anything at this point, right?
They mean nothing. They are meaningless. They are treated. They are not worth the plastic that they are constructed with.
I'll give you the 118-pound division, for example. Do you know who the last lineal champion was down there at 118?
Shit,
I
chocolate.
couldn't even begin to tell you.
No, Chocolate never fought at 118.
Is it Donaire or Neo? I think
It
it
was
was
Vito
Donaire.
Donaire. Donaire was the last lineal champion at 118. You know how long ago that was, Fight Doctor?
Well, that's probably been a minute.
Yeah, it's been nearly over a decade now. So since it's been over a decade, you have other Alpha Belt champions down there. Doesn't that not mean so those are no you saying those other champions doesn't deserve no recognition even though there's no champion for over a decade?
Well, we can recognize them as good fighters, but at the end of the day, there can only be one champion. There's one world, therefore there can only be one world champion. You can't have multiple world champions when there's only one world. And unfortunately, it's not up to the WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO, ABC, or 1, 2, 3 to decide who is or who isn't a champion. Okay? Now, the WBC can decide who is the champion of the WBC, yes. But they don't get to decide who the champion of the world is. They don't get to do that.
Okay.
So,
well, my point is, again, I get what you're saying, but it's been over a decade since we had a bantamweight, junior bantamweight champion. So at this point, there is no lineal status there. So you're saying those champions should not be recognized. So basically, you're saying that regardless of that situation, it's been over a decade since there has been no lineal champion. Then, theoretically, there's no such thing as a champion at junior bantamweight at this point, right? Is that what you're saying?
what I'm saying is that the title at bantamweight is vacant.
You mean junior bantamweight?
All right,
I'm sorry,
all right.
junior
Bantamweight,
bantamweight is
Bantamweight.
vacant.
All right. So we see the Charlo now.
Oh, you
like-
mean bantamweight? You're right, bantamweight.
Bantamweight,
Go ahead,
yes.
go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, but you see the Charlo now. So when De La Hoya took over the Ring Magazine, you just need to be a unified, and you get that so-called Ring Magazine belt. So Charlo has 3 belts. We're saying he needs to get 1. If he gets that, he becomes undisputed. Therefore, he starts a lineage if he wants to. Hopefully, he defends the belt. But that's the only way you become lineage.
No, Lydia means the number 1 and number 2 guys fighting. If it's vacant.
No. But what I'm saying is there isn't one, like Fight Doctor said. So the best thing you do is beat all the champions of the division, and you become that guy. So I'm trying to say to you, the Charlo's doing that. He's only got 1 more belt. If he really wants it, so he should go for it and then become lineage. So if that's what Fight Doctor recognizes, I'm all for it, bro.
No, but I'm saying he might be already lineal champion because the Ring Magazine was on the line for Rosario.
The Fight Doctor don't recognize him yet.
Yeah.
I would have to go back and look at the rankings and see who beat who. I mean, if the fight on Saturday was between the legitimate number 1 and number 2 ranked guys at 154, then that makes Jermell Charlo the champion at 154.
It was. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Rosario beat J-Rock, who had beaten Hurd. A lot of people thought he was number 1. And Charlo already has beaten, I think, guys like... obviously, the guy he lost to, what was his name? I keep forgetting.
Harrison, Trout.
Tony Harrison, yeah. He's beaten Trout. He's beaten a lot of guys.
Yeah, Lubin.
They were consensus had him number 1 and 2. If Charlo wants to become undisputed, he'll have to beat the Patrick Teixeira. But yeah, he is the lineal champion in a way. But I think still a lot of people want to see that fight.
So if Rosario and Charlo were the number 1, number 2 guys in the division, then that makes Charlo the champion in my mind.
Yeah, he's legitimately the top dog in that division.
Well, here's a problem with that. There's a little bit of a gray area there because TBRB, which is the recognizing ranking system, non-biased as a way because they are pretty respectable. TBRB has Charlo rate number 4 before that fight, and then from there they had Rosario rate number 1. Then they had Williams rate number 2 after the loss to Rosario. Then they had Hurd number 3 after Hurd lost to Williams. So that's kind of bizarre right there. So they had.
I say something?
Yeah,
all right,
go ahead.
If that's the case, then we got to look at the 3. We got to compare the 3 rankings between Ring Magazine, Transnational, and I believe the third one normally is ESPN. If I'm correct.
Right, ESPN.
All right. We got to look at whose majority of they got. If 2 of them got Rosario and Charlo number 1 and 2. Then I think it's a split decision in terms of those 2 are 1 and 2 because 2 of them have outvoted the 3rd. But if they also split and they disagree, then there's a gray area.
Yeah, then there's no linealship on the line then. So that's a problem.
Do you know what ESPN had it though? I don't know.
I don't know what ESPN had, but I'm looking at it right now before the fight. Let me see if they didn't update it today.
The Ring Magazine, they've got Charlo with it, but they haven't got him as the V champion yet. They're being stingy.
It's not updated.
It's not updated yet.
It'll be updated next month. They'll go by the following month. I'm subscribed to the magazine.
Yeah, because I didn't even heard of this Rosario guy. He was that good? I never heard of him before.
Oh,
No,
he was decent. You know, he had one loss before the win over J Rock. He had a tough. He put up a good effort against Daniel Gillimore, who lost to Patrick Teixeira recently. Teixeira beat him.
Oh, he was the one who beat J Rock. Oh, that guy was decent. Oh, that was him.
But it's what he did to J Rock. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know, bro. Like, cause you know me, I didn't even. Yo, so that's a legit. That guy's legit.
That is a legitimate. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
legit.
but to be fair though, Rosario, you can argue Rosario was. Wait, here's the thing. You can argue Rosario was beating Jermell before Jermell knocked him down the second time and hurt him after that fight, and Rosario didn't recover after. So
I don't know about that. I think maybe you could say rounds, but he kept getting dropped the rounds he was winning.
well, no. I see what you say, Hamed. The first round, yeah, you definitely give to Jermell for the knockdown, but like rounds 2, 3, and 4, and 5, or maybe 2, 3, and 4 the most. You could argue that Rosario caught up and swept those rounds. He caught up.
I
thought Rosario was winning the 6th round before the knockdown.
Yeah, you could argue that too.
Tell him the truth.
But I don't think he was winning the fight.
Tell the truth, fight doctor. You see that knockout? You reckon it was fixed? Come on, tell the truth.
Yeah, I was going to get into that real quickly. Do you guys honestly believe there was that was a fake that punch was
I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
That was a no mas move.
You think
Maybe,
so?
possibly.
That was not fixed. No way. That was a no mas move.
Yeah, I think it could have been that. He saw the easy way out. I don't know. That was weird.
Well, I mean, it's possible, but it's also possible the way he reacted. Maybe, I mean, he's a good actor. Well, I don't know. But let me just say this, though. Maybe there was something inside his body that ruptured, that caused him to react the way he did. Because I remember, I could probably make this comparison. I'm not, EJ and Mr. Doc and Fight Doctor. Shout out to Mr. Doc. He just came into the panel. Maybe you guys remember Jermall McClellan versus Nigel Min many years ago, how that fight ended.
Nigel Min, yeah.
Yeah, we saw how that fight ended. It was very, very bizarre how that fight ended.
Yeah, but see, there's a difference. With the McClellan Nigel Benn fight, McClellan had been taking a sustained beating.
Right. And so was Rosario. Rosario kind of he took some martial shots too.
Yeah, but McClellan had been taking a sustained beating upstairs.
Well, yeah, mainly back of the head.
This fight, to be fair, Dan, I gotta agree with Fight Doctor. This fight was nowhere near as brutal for either guy compared to the McClellan Ben fight.
Yeah, and
well,
then on top of that,
I see what you're saying, but my thing is maybe somewhere where Charlo hit him in an area where it caused him something to rupture inside him internally. That's probably what made him react the way he did. That's what I'm just saying.
I think the one thing we can look. I think we can all agree on this much. It looked weird. I've got no clue. I got no clue
that's what I said.
Whether he was.
But can I say this?
Maybe he was hurt some weird way. Maybe he wanted out. Maybe he took a dive. Who the fuck knows? All I know is that it looked weird.
Yeah.
You guys remember when Juan Marquez made that one guy spit blood? Vomit blood?
Yeah, you talk about Robbie Pettit. Yeah,
Robbie Pettit.
Yeah, that was a brutal body shot. That was legit. That was legit.
But the thing with the Nigel Benn fight, I think Tariq Samasi was McClellan's sparring partner. He was even saying the minute he started seeing McClellan blink, he knew something was wrong because he did that before in sparring. So, and we ended up finding out McClellan had a serious blood clot or brain tumor? Like
it was blood clot in the brain. Yeah, it was the effect after the Julian Jackson fight that he suffered that clot.
That was a serious injury.
Yeah, the first Julian Jackson fight I may add. But yeah, I'm looking at the ESPN rankings. They haven't updated it yet, but they do have Jermell Charlo number 1 and Jason Rosario number 2.
So that's you could say legit then.
That should have been the lineal championship on the line that night.
The ring was on the line. So
the ring was on the line, but what about the lineal status? That was not put on the line that night.
But when we're talking about prestige and credibility right now, I mean, having these 4 titles is basically what the casual fan or the mainstream media is going to push for, having the 4 titles. And so what are the chances that Teixeira doesn't want the undisputed fight? I mean, I'm assuming that he's going to want to fight Charlo next rather than Tim Tszyu.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. Maybe it depends on how much money they're going to offer him, because from the looks of it, it looks like Tim Tszyu team is going to make Teixeira come over to Australia and give him a good payday.
But Well, but in your opinions, gentlemen, do you think Teixeira wants to fight Tim Tszyu next, or would he rather go fight for the 4 titles?
Probably, you know what? Just to think of it, he'd probably get more money fighting Charlo with all the belts. If you
I
think
think
about
that's a
it.
Hang on, Dan.
What's
But we may all be overlooking something here. In Australia, they can have crowds.
That's true.
That's
Significantly,
but you're forgetting something, brother.
sized crowd.
But brother, hey, you're forgetting something, brother. The U.S. dollar is worth more than the Australian currency.
Yeah, but without the crowd, he's trying to say you get more money, probably.
Yeah,
They generate more money.
Right now, it's hard to make any kind of money.
Unless it's on
pay-per-view. Otherwise, yeah. And on a pay-per-view and themselves decent enough.
That's a tough sell, I think. Even though it's 4 belts, Patrick Teixeira on pay-per-view. Like with
that's
Rosario,
not a fight you can sell. Yeah, you can't sell that fight on pay-per-view. I mean, you could sell Rosario and Charlo from looking from the outside, even though I didn't think those were pay-per-view fights. But if you look at the opponent matchup stylistically, you are guaranteed a great fight based off the styles. And we did get those fights.
Rosario was coming off of blasting out at least a guy who was semi-known if you're a boxing fan or if you know the division.
Right, J-Rock had a fight of the year contender with Hurd on, I believe it's on Fox, which is national.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And Rosario knocked that guy.
That's right.
And Golovkin, and Derevchenko come off a battle with Golovkin too, so a very brutal fight, which many people felt he won. So, yeah, I mean, you can understand those are more sellable fights, but Teixeira, nah. Let's be honest, Teixeira I don't think he has a chance against Charlo. I don't think he does, to be honest with you.
It's like Ndongo and Crawford. Like that was maybe a better fight, but that wasn't even pay-per-view, innit? That was on ESPN.
I don't think Teixeira has a chance with Tim Tszyu either.
I don't think so either. So
he should cash out. Man. He should go for it. He should go for the 14.
I'm not even gonna pretend. Who I have no idea. Who has Patrick Teixeira beaten?
He beat Carlos Adama.
Patrick Alati, I think. He lost to Curtis Stevens. I remember. He got knocked out by Curtis Stevens.
Yeah, he beat Carlos Adama. I mean, let's be fair though. Adama was favored to win that fight, but he beat him. So other than that, that's his best win. I mean, well, actually, he just beat Nathaniel Gilmore. So yes, that's.
But Gilmore's been on the slide. Like I know he had a win over Rosario, but come on, like Rosario now we know may have just had one, and I don't want to see as if I'm discrediting Charlo. Charlo did what he had to do, but Rosario did lose to Gallimore a long time ago. But Gallimore's also lost. Gallimore lost to J-Rock as well, and he's lost. I believe he had a close one to Ishe Smith as well.
Yeah, I think at 154 right now, you have a lot of rock, paper, scissors. And what I mean by that is you've got a lot of cases where fighter X is going to beat fighter Y almost every time he fights him, but fighter Y is going to beat fighter Z. Do you get me? And fighter Z is going to beat fighter Z is going to beat fighter X every. You know what I mean? I think you got a lot of guys that stylistically just kind of all trump each other.
Well, when Rosario lost to Gallimore, Rosario was doing really good in that fight. He basically punched himself out though.
Yeah, that's true. That's the thing about Gallimore. He's like he loses. The fights that he loses is based off fatigue. It's not more so that he gets he getting hurt. I mean, yeah, he gets hurt, but if you notice the way he loses, just the fact that he runs out of gas. That's how he gets stopped. So
what about
what I mean is, like, for example, like Charlo, I think beats Rosario like 9 times out of 10. All right, but I think Rosario beats J-Rock 9 times out of 10. I'm not so sure that Charlo beats J-Rock. I don't know that.
This is what I'm going to say. J-Rock and Hurd both could have ended up fighting Charlo, and that would have been a bigger unification. They both ended up losing. One lost to J-Rock, and then J-Rock lost to Rosario. Like I don't know if Hurd is still at 154, but
he shouldn't be. He should be going up to 160.
Like J-Rock and Charlo would maybe have been a more interesting fight. I know that's the thing with styles make fights, and you can't really always use triangle theories, but. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen now.
No, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah, there is no triangles. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a lot of. It seems to be a lot of styles making fights, and just certain guys have it over certain other guys stylistically, and then you've got a few where it's going to be, it's going to be a close battle every time, like the J-Rock and Hurd and Lara and so on.
Right.
And like, what's the Hispanic guy's name? Castano and Lara. Yeah. Is he? What do you guys think? Is he in that mix? He's
a good fighter, I think. Yeah, I think
he's a decent fighter, but I'm not really impressed by Castano. But it is. It is what it is. But since I got you guys on here, Doc and Hamed, but I want to ask you guys real quickly. And Jermall Charlo, realistically, who should he fight next? Should it be Golovkin? Do you think that's more realistic? Do you think it's Eubank Jr.? Do you think it's Jaime Munguia? Well, actually, Munguia actually got a fight with Toriano Johnson coming up. And of course, the winner of that fight is the #1 contender for that title. So,
so it sounds like because it looks like they had Eubank Jr. there, didn't they? Remember,
yeah.
Sir? And so that was already being talked about before this. I think I recall hearing.
Yeah.
So it sounds like from what you're saying, he's already kind of booked up with Eubank Jr. and then the winner of Munguia and what's his name?
Johnson, Toriano Johnson.
Toriano Johnson's he's gonna get punched up.
I know.
I don't want to see that fight.
Well, is that and that's an eliminator?
Yeah, that's an eliminator.
Why is Toriano Johnson in an eliminator? What is going on?
I don't know, man. Yeah, the WBC has him rated pretty high. He's like rated number 5, I think.
For doing what?
I don't know. I mean, did he lost to Derevchenko. Go ahead, man.
That's another thing. This is the thing with alphabet belts. Like that's when I get what people like Fight Doctor are saying. When the guy that Taylor fought, I don't know how he was mandatory challenger. Like that was
Frontstall. You know, I was making. You know, I kind of made a comment about that in one of my prior streams. Is that the WBO? Actually, was that a WBO or not? No, that was the IBF. IBF ranking. Yeah. The IBF sometimes have one of the weirdest ranking systems I've ever seen. I mean, well, not system-wise, but who they rate. The WBO is probably the worst, to be honest with you. You know,
the IBF has come up with some awful, remember some of Kell Brooks' mandatories were horrid. Horrid.
Busy and what was it, Jojo Dan? I was going to say with Charlo, the one on middleweight, I think they probably go down the Eubank route because I think he's got some deal with PBC. Yeah. I personally would rather see the Golovkin fight because after the Derevchenko fight, they both got wins over Derevchenko. I know one was maybe closer than the other, but style-wise, that'd be a good fight. Eubank, I don't know. Like he needs to do something for me to want to see him in a big fight. But
GGG ducked him already, though.
Who? Eubank? About Charlo. He's talking about Charlo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know if that fight will happen. That's the thing. They're not on the same side of the promotion. So ideally, I'd like to see it, but I don't think. I think it's unlikely it's going to happen. But that'd be a good fight.
I mean, you know, that's a good point. But given the zone situation, their financial situation, I mean, don't you think it'd be feasible for them to go ahead and try to do a cross promotional network deal with CBS with Steven Espinosa because the zone need the money. I think they done it.
No, they done it with Andy Ruiz and AJ. That was co-promotion, PBC and the Zone.
That was a bit different.
Smoke. So, my brother.
Nah, because I'll tell you. Hang on, let me I disagree real quick, Hamid. I think it's actually a risk Al would be more likely to take because to me, Golovkin's there to be beat.
Yeah,
right.
If Jermall's gonna get him, now's the time to get him. The dude. Look, I've been a Golovkin fan a long time. The dude's old. All right.
Yeah, I don't think
right now
would put him in.
I would pick Charlo right now because I think that's how old I think he is.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't think Golovkin's team will want to put him in there when they know there's a payday with Canelo waiting.
Yeah,
the deal could happen.
How long is Canelo?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. How long are they going to wait on that? Because that's not going to happen anytime soon.
And they're aren't they in arbitration or some shit still?
Well, Canelo has until today. Today's the deadline to refile a lawsuit against the Zone and Golden Boy.
Even then, they're going to try to renegotiate, which is going to take who knows how long.
Exactly.
I don't know. That's the thing. But also, you got to look at Andrade. He's on the Zone. I don't know if the Zone if Golovkin tried to Charlo and is not in the Zone, I don't know. Will the Zone want to let that happen? I personally want to see that.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to ask a brutally honest question. I want everybody to answer if Dan doesn't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Is Golovkin really that big of a scalp right now?
What do you mean in terms of?
Man, he's a legit warrior right now.
Yeah, I know, but is he like top 1, 2, 3 type of scalp still at middleweight?
Can I answer? Can I answer? Say what's up to everybody.
Anybody. I'll mute myself.
Yeah, what's up? What's up, everybody? Just coming in. I'm glad I came in. I've been listening in and out. But yeah, there's 2 Hall of Famers at 160. Golovkin's one of them.
Right.
The Hall of Fame for having done what exactly? For having done what?
Is that a better way? Hang on. Is that a better scalp right now? The Golovkin of right now, is he a better scalp than Andrade?
Okay, was it Mosley that Canelo beat?
Yes.
Well, hold on. One at a time.
Hang on. Let Smoke answer.
Let's Smoke answer.
Yeah, right. So the Mosley that Canelo beat. What about that guy? Or the Kovalev that Canelo beat? What about that guy?
Those are garbage wins compared to what? Compared to
not having Hall of Famers on your resume. Even Eric Morales.
Let me give you 2 names. Hang on, let me give you 2 names real quick. Austin Trout, Erislandy Lara. I think those 2 wins are to me, and I admittedly, I don't expect a casual fan to think the way I do, but to me, those are better, more impressive wins.
Well, the Lara has the controversy, right? So the Lara has the controversy. So I don't know about that being a good win because people thought he lost. But what about the Monster versus Donaire?
That's a great one.
That's what I'm saying. Like, guys are past their prime. So what? Just because a guy is no longer in his prime doesn't mean that he's no longer.
Donaire. Hang on. Let me answer.
Manny Pacquiao.
Let me answer his point.
Yeah, good point. Go ahead.
Donaire is past his best, but Donaire, most of us I think realized was still capable of winning that fight, and he proved within the fight that he's still capable. Mosley had no chance of beating Canelo.
Yeah, but we could say this about a lot. Look at this. Klitschko, one of Joshua's biggest win. The guy was 41 coming off.
Klitschko could have won
that fight.
Wait, hold on, guys. Let Ahmed finish. Let Ahmed finish. Go ahead, Ahmed.
Still a good win. Still a good win for a guy with 17 or 18 fights. But at the same time, a lot of people wrote Klitschko off. I didn't personally because I thought that was the first guy Joshua fought outside Dillian White who was going to test him. And obviously he was better than Dillian White, I thought. So, I mean, this could go both ways. It depends how you look at it. I still don't think Klitschko's in his prime, but he was still dangerous. You could say the same for Dene. You could say the same for a lot of other guys. Mosley, I think, was completely shot.
So, anyway, guys, can I jump in for a second?
Go ahead, Fight Doctor. Go ahead.
So, in terms of Jermall Charlo and Golovkin, the triple duck, that's a fight you have to take if you're Charlo because, well, first, the triple duck has a name. That's the first thing. The second thing, the triple duck has a title, right? One of the major titles. Yeah. So that's a fight you have to take. You have to take that fight. You have to. That should be high on Charlo's priority on his list of opponents.
Right.
The triple duck should be number 2, right behind Alvarez. Right.
Right.
But in terms of a challenge, I mean, the triple duck is on the slide. He's been on the slide for some years now. And I don't think in fact, I know that he doesn't represent the same challenge today as he did years ago, a few years back. I don't know that he would have.
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. So that's fair enough. That's a good mistake. But you did a good job distinguishing. I get you.
But if I'm Charlo, I want that fight. I want that fight for several reasons.
But is that still bigger than Andrade right now?
Well, hold on.
If I can just jump in with just one more fight, right? Okay. Eric Morales is still the best name on Danny Garcia's win. I mean, not Danny. Danny Garcia's best win is still Eric Morales.
That says more about Danny Garcia than it does.
No. What it says is about the cash in for Hall of Fame,
man.
Well, yeah, I think
you didn't see the Eric Morales versus Maidana during those.
Wait, hold on a second. Wait, stop. The triple duck is not in the same category, not by far. He's not in the same category as an Eric Morales. Eric Morales is a boxing guy.
No. But is he a shot?
Hold up. Hold up, guys. What Smoke is saying is that regardless if you agree or not, if Charlo does beat Golovkin, that's a Hall of Fame win. Now, Fight Doctor disagrees with that because of the fact that he doesn't think Golovkin is a Hall of Famer. Now, Fight Doctor, do you want to state your reasoning why you think Golovkin is not a Hall of Fame win if Charlo beats him? Go ahead.
Oh, that's easy to explain. One question: who has he beaten? The best name on the guy's resume is Danny Jacobs. And now my question is,
he has a draw with Canelo.
That's
not the question. Who's he beat? Who has he beat? You have to beat somebody to get into the Hall of Fame.
You said the same for Wilder.
Hold on, one at a time, guys. Go ahead.
You said the same for Wilder.
So
you talk about
right. Well, we're not debating if Wilder is a Hall of Fame quality fighter or not. What I'm saying,
wait, hold on, guys.
What I'm saying is,
stay on target.
Can I say somebody?
Let everyone at a time. Go ahead, Fight Doctor. This Smoke, you get back in after Fight Doctor. Go ahead, Fight Doctor. Finish up.
So, my question to the Triple Duck Hall of Fame crowd is: does beating Danny Jacobs qualify a fighter to get into the Hall of Fame? Because that is the best name on his resume. And then after that, you got a bunch of string of tomato cans. So beating Danny Jacobs, beating a string of tomato cans, that's good enough for the Hall of Fame? That's my question to the whole of the panel.
Well, let me answer that. Now, Fight Doctor, hold up. Let me answer that. You get back. Let me just say this, Fight Doctor. I agree with you in one instance. That is. I agree with you in that instance. But you got to be fair. When Golovkin was the regular champion, which I don't count because I don't recognize that title. But at that time, he was arguably the number one middleweight at the time. And when his time as the regular champion, he beat all the top 10 fighters that were available to him. He did, except for a couple guys, but he did beat those guys.
You could only beat in front of you, man. Like that's what you're saying.
Okay, if I can jump in, right?
Let me finish. Let me finish. It's all good. He beat all those guys that were available to him at the time. Now, you could equate that run as similar to Vladimir Klitschko. Because, look, we all agree that Vladimir Klitschko is a Hall of Famer, but he hasn't beat anybody that's Hall of Fame worthy fighters, but he beat the guys that were available to him at the time.
Good point.
Not his fault. So you got to give him credit for that, and that's why he's a Hall of Fame, because he cleaned out the division.
Rubio was
Wait, hold up, guys. Hold up. Let me finish, please. Please, thank you. Now, Golovkin, I'm not saying Golovkin cleaned out the division just as Klitschko did, but Golovkin almost cleaned out. So you got to give him credit for that. And yes, he was a top middleweight at the time. So you got to take that into consideration that you could put him in the Hall of Fame based off those factors alone. That's my take on it. But go ahead.
So let me, if I can just jump in, right? So I wasn't going Klitschko because I don't agree that Klitschko cleaned out the division at all. Like, I feel like that's some fucking weak ass propaganda from the Klitschko era.
Oh, come on, man.
Listen,
what did
most of those guys, the thing is, the brothers got credit as if they're one fighter. And that's not really what happened. Like, one brother was cleaning out the division, one brother was fighting the tough guys, and the other guy was fighting the B-level guys, and together they cleaned out the division. But that wasn't the guy.
Wait, hold up. Hold up. What did Vladimir do after his brother retired?
What did Vladimir do after his brother retired? He did the same thing he did before his brother retired. He fought
He beat Povetkin. He beat all the top guys.
Okay, great. If I can finish my point, right? So Povetkin was not at any point a threat or one of the best. Like, he was the regular. Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point, right? Before we get all on the damn the Klitschko thing. Regular champs are in the WBA, the regular champs of WBA. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. The guy that I was going to mention was Arturo Gatti, not Vladimir Klitschko, because the actual Hall of Fame is not based on who the best name it is you beat. It's actually about the fights that you're in and who you fought, not just the result. And the reason why Triple G is going is because of the names that he fought, not just the best win that he has.
Can I say wait, hold on a second. Wait. Can I answer that? Please?
Go ahead, Fight Doctor. Then how may I get back in after Fight Doctor?
The reason why Arturo Gatti is in the Hall of Fame is because of the excitement factor and the way in which he went about winning his fights. I mean, the guy was a legend for coming back and knocking out guys who had him down on the scorecards. And in the process of doing this, he would have folks like sitting on the edge of their seats and cheering. And it was just, it was just, he would win and do it in a spectacular fashion, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. So that's the reason why Arturo Gatti is in the Hall of Fame. But in a guy like the Triple Duck, I mean, honestly, what is he known for, really? Honestly. And then on top of that, listen, Arturo Gatti may not have beaten the best opposition, okay? But his opposition definitely was probably on par with the guys who the Triple Duck beat. However, he was able to do it in a much more exciting fashion.
Who has a better resume?
I can't hang on.
I just want to say one thing. I just want to say one thing. Triple G was a civil man, so consider your amateur career. Just like if you may not agree, you may not be interested in the way Triple G finished his guys off, but other people will. Like the Hall of Fame, I think, are going to find those fights exciting because he was stopping those dudes. The same way they find Wilder exciting. Go ahead.
Let me just say this, and then I'm done.
Wait, hold up. Fight doctor, hold up. Let Mr. Doc get in, then you can respond to Go.
Because I'm a Golovkin fan, and I can sum up for you what he'll be known for. What he'll be best for, by me anyways, is passing up Undisputed and wasting what was left of his prime, chasing after Cannoli, only to get himself a draw and a loss. That's what I'm.
The question is Hall of Fame.
From a Golovkin fan.
And gentlemen, I gotta get going. I want to thank Dan. No, I gotta get going. I want to thank everybody, gentlemen, on the panel. Thank you very much, Dan. I'm gonna be listening in the background. I appreciate you.
All right. No problem, dude. Hey, no problem, man.
Dude, next time, bro.
Thank you, family.
Man.
Thanks, brothers.
All right, man. Take care, fam. All right, man. But go ahead, Mr. Doc.
He will go to the Hall of Fame, but that's because the Hall of Fame has fucked up criteria, as we were elaborating on, like Fight Doctor said, with Arturo Gatti and guys like that. So I mean, if they're getting in, then if they're getting in, then Golovkin's going to get it. The question that was germane to what Smoke was saying about Vlad would be this: okay, who did Vlad not fight that he should have?
No one.
Oh,
let Smoke answer. Let Smoke answer his own question.
Oh, okay, cool. I mean, depends on what year you want to talk about. I mean, David Tua, Ike Ibushi, Galata, Holyfield, Tyson, Lennox Lewis. You want me to go on? Michael Grant.
Evander was
John Ruiz.
Wasn't Evander
keep going.
Hang on. Wasn't Evander getting punched up by James Toney around that time?
Yeah, Chris Bird.
He didn't fight James Toney either. So I don't know why you're laughing, because he didn't fight James Toney.
James Toney lost to John Ruiz. John Ruiz got knocked out by
correct, and they didn't fight John Ruiz.
No, he beat John Ruiz, but he got busted for PEDs. And then he had was it a draw?
No, he beat Peter.
Riddick Bowe, and he fought Riddick Bowe. Hang on, he fought Riddick Bowe also twice. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
Who fought Riddick Bowe?
James Toney.
No, he never fought Riddick Bowe.
Not Riddick Bowe. What am I saying?
Samuel Rahman.
He's talking about Sam Peter.
Yeah, Sam Peter.
But listen. The knock on Vladimir Klitschko is simple. He keeps getting knocked out. The reason why he didn't fight some of those guys like Lennox Lewis and some of the other guys is because before he got a chance to actually get the Lewis fight, he got knocked out by Corey Sanders. Okay. So
don't forget Ross Purity, right? Like, but that's a different subject for another day. The point is, the idea that this guy cleaned out the division is a bunch of bullshit.
Oh, come on. Okay. So let me just say this. Smoke, in his earlier run as WBO champion, I get that. I agree on that, and that all does go to the fact of his confidence factor. Even his brother, Vitaly, his bigger brother, which we argue is a better fighter between the two, had even told Vladimir that maybe you should retire after the what fight was it? The Lemon Brewster fight, yeah. But after that fight, after all those heavyweights that left that you named, right? Yeah, Vladimir did fight them. But when his brother retired and when Vladimir came back, what did Vladimir do after that? Look who he fought. He came back in the Avengers loss against Brewster. He beat Samuel Peter.
Oh, wait.
No. I'm not finished. He beat Chris Bird. He beat Sultan Ibragimov, okay? Same guy beat Briggs, okay? Beat Hasim Rahman. He beat Jagayev. He beat Tony Thompson. He beat Eddie Chambers. He beat Peter again in a rematch. He beat David Hay, a fight that people thought that Hay was going to win. All right. He beat and I'm not saying Walker was he was a good fighter, but he was a credible opponent at the time.
I'd say one guy he missed out was
Valuev. He beat Pulev. He beat a prime Pulev, who was undefeated. Brian Jensen's undefeated. So what more do you want him to do at that point?
I think Valuev might be one name that he could have, like, both the Klitschko's, I think, kind of avoided
Valuev
because he's so big.
Well, Valuev.
You reckon? I heard they want. I know Vitaly wanted to fight him, but that was after he beat him.
Right. Did I miss Vlad fighting Shannon Briggs? I mean, I heard you say a whole bunch of other people that weren't champs, right? But I'm talking about the best guys, right? So Eddie Chambers, was he a champ? Because Shannon Briggs was, and he was around.
Hold up, guys. Hold up, guys.
This is rambling, man. I can't hear.
Smoke. Listen, hold up. Tangible, what's up, man? But let me get Tangible's thoughts before he gets his thoughts. I'll say this.
Yeah, I was meant to go next, otherwise I would.
Okay, man. My bad, man. But I'll let you go next to the Tangible jump in, then Smoke, you can respond. Now, Smoke, listen, I understand what you're saying, but when all the other guys left, who were there available to fight? The names were available. The guys I just named, and they were the top guys, and Vladimir beat them. You got to give them credit for that, man. Those are the guys that were left at the time. They were left at the time.
But there are other guys. There are other guys that were better. Like I said, Shannon Briggs was better than those guys that you just named. All of them at that time.
But he wasn't around for
He was around. Shannon Briggs just hung it up last 2-3 years ago.
For the first part of Vlad's career, he was around as a legitimate contender. Yes.
Vitaly beat him, though. Why would
that's during the WBO reign.
Can I ask a question? My point. Hold on. Both of them, they both fought the guys together. They fought most of the guys, but Vlad is getting credit for work that Vitaly did.
No, we're only what it is there's a specific era of fighters that Vlad cleaned out that Dan's talking about. That's post Vlad retiring. Once Shannon Briggs and all. Hang on, once Shannon Briggs and Evander and all those dudes were out of the way and out of the picture, from that point on, am I getting what you're saying right, Dan? From that point on, Vlad fought pretty much everybody that was left.
Okay, no, but it's not pretty much. You
broke up there. You broke up there.
My point to you is this. My point to you is division, and the WBC was still cracking with competition. Vlad didn't fight.
All right. Well, let me get. Hamed, you want to respond to that real quickly?
I just want to say this. To a degree, I get what he's saying because Vitaly did fight a lot of the guys that Klitschko knocked out. So Klitschko didn't. What's the word? Vladimir didn't avenge his defeats to Corey Sanders and his defeat to Ross Purity. I don't even know if Vitaly. I think Vitaly might have beaten Ross Purity. I'm not sure with that, but I do know the only guy he avenged was his defeat to Lamont Brewster. So there is a way of putting it. And Vitaly also didn't avenge one of his defeats. I know he wanted the Lewis rematch, but he didn't beat Bird. Vladimir ended up beating Chris Bird. So there is an argument there. I see it, but at the same time, I don't know about guys like Shannon Briggs lost to Vitaly in 2010. I know Vladimir should have fought him because there was some sort of rivalry. But after that, he was put in the hospital and the guy didn't do anything. I know he's called out Hay and Vladimir, but let's be real, the guy was like 40-something that time. Vladimir, I do think pretty much cleaned out the division up until he lost to Tyson Fury. The only thing he didn't do was get that other belt. But how are you meant to get that belt if that belt is being fought between, I think it was... Chris
Wilder,
Ariola and Stavern and Ariola. They had like 2 fights.
Yeah, Stavern and Ariola.
Can I ask a question?
I haven't finished. One sec. So there is argument. At the same time, some people view cleaning out the whole division. You gotta have all the belts. So that's subjective. Regarding Triple G, I get the argument, but at the same time, I do think the guy was avoided to a degree, and I agree. I don't think his resume is that strong, but he beat pretty much everyone in front of him. And if you're going to discredit him and say the only guy who beat Danny Jacobs, then, I mean, that's kind of criticizing Canelo then. Because Canelo, that's one of his biggest wins. And I know Canelo's got more to his resume than Golovkin. I'm not saying that, but what I'm trying to say that if you look at it, that is one of his biggest wins, undefeated Golovkin. And
wait, Alvarez's resume is night and day compared to Golovkin.
I just said that.
Well,
that.
he just said that. Like Doctor, go ahead.
A lot of those guys had already been beaten or were old or been knocked out. Golovkin was one of the few guys he beat. Was a premier guy who was unbeaten. So, I mean, that's where I think I still think you could make an argument, though his resume isn't that good, and I think outside Danny Jacobs, maybe Murray, and I don't think Lemieux's that good. I don't think it's that good of a resume, but I mean, it depends on how you define Hall of Fame.
Well, that's my whole point. The Hall of Fame, the criteria is kind of jacked up because sometimes it's favoritism, who they want to put in and who they do not admit. But going after the factors that what Golovkin had to go through, yes, he didn't get those big fights because nobody wanted to fight him, but he did clean out all the other top 10 middleweights. You got to give him credit for that. And that was a span of what? How many years? I would say about, let's go back to 2010, maybe 2011, all the way up to like 2016.
I think you can say one thing though. Golovkin hasn't moved up with Canelo's gone through 3-something or 4 divisions. So I think you can make the argument because I don't think Golovkin should have been pound for pound a couple of years ago. I think guys like Crawford, Lomachenko, Gonzalez, they all should have been. I don't know about.
And so, here's another problem with the whole triple duck belongs in the Hall of Fame argument. When he had an opportunity to fight the fights that would have put him over the top, that would guarantee have put him in the Hall of Fame, he chose to duck. Okay, he could have had Andre Ward.
Andre Ward.
That too.
Yeah, Andre Ward.
I wanted to see. Hang on, fight doctor. Did anybody else want to see the Lara fight? Because I was one of the people.
Yeah, Lara and Andre Ward fights would have definitely been an argument for him at this point. To be honest,
you know the Billy Joe Saunders fight.
Right, but Canelo was an argument for it also. I mean, is Lara more of an argument than Canelo? And also, I really don't understand how. All right, so first off, one of the criterias of the Hall of Fame, to me, from the outside looking in, appears to be the number of championship fights that you appeared in. And I'm pretty sure Golovkin's been in a ton of them. Like, regardless of what you say about who he didn't fight and all of the other stuff, or whether or not his resume is padded for regular championships, and I get all that. I'm not even a Triple G fan, but I'm just saying that looking at the criteria of the Hall of Fame, they seem to take into. I'm not saying it's messed up. That's y'all's thing on it. I'm just saying what it is. I don't actually have a judgment on it. I'm just following what the hell the thing is. They take into account your amateur background also. The dude is a silver medalist. He's been in a ton of championship fights. He's fought Hall of Famers. I don't know. At least fought one. Whatever the result was. And he's long reigning. I think he's been in exciting fights. I'm not a big William Monroe, Curtis Stevenson, or Steve Rowe, or Dark Cheney. That's my reason. Magnus Monterosa. I'm not fans of those guys. However. But that doesn't seem to be what the Hall of Fame is worried about.
Well, that's my whole point. That's my whole point. He fought at a time when the division was weak, and he cleaned those guys out. You got to give him credit for that. It's like how Vladimir Klitschko did it after all these other guys you named left. He cleaned it out. So, but all of us agree that Vladimir is a Hall of Famer. Maybe some people do, but most people do.
No, but we don't agree with that
at all. Hang on.
Clean it out.
Wait, hold on, guys. Let me get a tangible here because he's been sitting quiet, man. What's up with tangible?
That's true. My bad.
Yeah. If I personally made a Hall of Fame, which I haven't made, but I kind of want to in the near future, I don't think I'd put Golovkin in there. But based on the credentials and the criteria of the International Boxing Hall of Fame, I would expect him to make it in. I feel like Klitschko's resume is stronger than Golovkin's, and I think Klitschko took on more comers than Golovkin, and I think there is a discrepancy between both two's resumes. But Vladimir, I'd still place in the Hall of Fame if I were to make one. Golovkin, both guys are going to be International Boxing Hall of Famers. Golovkin, I wouldn't quite place in a personal Hall of Fame, but it kind of depends on what my criteria would be.
Yeah, and I agree with that. That's a fair point to make. I mean, and to be fair though, Vladimir's resume is way better than Golovkin's. That's a fact.
I don't think there's there's not as many names that spring immediately to mind, especially in that second part of his career, where I'm going, oh, why didn't he fight this guy or maybe this guy or maybe this guy? Whereas with Golovkin, it's there's the Ward fight, the Lara fight, Billy Joe fight for undisputed. That's the thing that's really going to get judged harshly, I think, by historians.
Yeah,
I think
partly disagree that Vladimir cleaned out the heavyweight division. He did not become undisputed, and it didn't burn. So that wouldn't quite constitute. I mean, I guess his brother was in there, so it was also kind of bad luck in that case. I wouldn't quite say he cleaned out the division, but
he left Bermain, Stavern, and Areola, I guess, now that you mention it. Because Dan was talking about post Vitali retiring that era of the division.
Hey, and he also left Wilder. You got, Wilder was young, but he said let the dude get some title defenses. They all agreed that they're going to marinate that fight. Fight never happened.
Yeah, but does anyone think they were going to put Wilder in?
He never got undisputed. So as a result, he didn't get undisputed, and he didn't actually clean out the division.
He should have taken. He shouldn't have let the Stavern Areola thing happen. He should have gotten in that.
Yeah, but you can't always do that. Don King got hold of that like before Vladimir was gonna think. Once Don King was involved, then he went to Wilder, who was the mandatory challenger for Stavern.
No, I'm talking about that.
Listen, the dude had 69 fights and 0 Hall of Famers on it. When you had all-time greats active during his time, and we're talking about Triple G not fighting Ward, who was never even fought at 160.
No, it was
I think his wins over Hay, Povetkin.
Hold up, guys. I spoke to correct the record. Andre Ward did fight at 160. That was early in his career, but it was proven that he was too big for that weight anyway. I just wanted to make that point. But go ahead.
As a pro, he fought at 160. I thought he fought as a pro.
First six amateur professional fights.
Okay,
no. Andre Ward did, he started his career at middleweight. He was fighting on HBO as a middleweight. He was on the undercard on the middleweight clash against somebody. It was on the undercard, Jermaine Taylor.
First 6 pro fights, I think. It was
excellent. So he started out at middleweight, stand corrected. He was never a contender at middleweight.
No, because he was too big for that weight. Having trouble making that weight early in his career, so that's why he had to.
So I don't know how the hell. I don't know how we're gonna ding Triple G for not fighting Andre Ward, who was never even a contender at middleweight.
No,
but we're gonna say Vladimir Klitschko is okay when he didn't fight when he had 3 all-time greats active during his
hold on.
Hang on. Let me answer that. Why were people, including some Golovkin fans, calling for those fights? Because Golovkin had no one at middleweight to fight that.
Yeah, but Golovkin wanted to fight Chavez. Did not middleweight.
That was part of it.
Hold on. Back up. Golovkin called out all the fighters at 168.
No, he said 154. 154.
Yeah, 154. Hold on.
That was Sanchez, not Golovkin. That was his trainer, not him.
Well, he speaks. Yeah, I get that, but he speaks for the fighter. Let's be realistic.
No, he spoke for himself. Actually, Golovkin fired his ass. So really, he just speaks for himself.
Hang on. Now I got an honest question. Did he say that, or did he translate that as what he was saying? Because I honestly don't.
I think he was translating that for his fighter. He's speaking for his fighter. They said they were willing to fight anybody from 154 up to 175. Then they scaled that back.
And above and beyond that, the Golovkin camp, the Triple Duck camp, were actually entertaining fights and negotiating for fights with a couple of 168 pounders.
Yeah, that was Miguel Kessler, Chavez, Carl Froch, and Miguel Kessler. Those are the fights they wanted. And they
went above 168. They said 170 or 172 for one of the fights.
It was against Kessler. It was against Kessler. And
again, listen, I get that you could say his team said it, but to attribute those words to Triple G is also just as inaccurate as me saying Andre Ward didn't fight at 160.
That's why I asked if it was Abel Sanchez translating what Golovkin said or just stating.
Here's what we know that the Triple Duck did in fact fight 154 pounders. He just fought them at 160.
Yeah, he doesn't fight Lara, but we get fucking Vaughn. That was unbelievable.
that was disgusting. I hated that fight.
Yeah, that was a terrible fight. Look, we're kind of getting way off topic.
Yeah, we've gotten way. We
were way left field on this one. But let's get back into the topic at hand, though. But yeah, let's
talk about Charlo.
Let's talk about Charlo. Since the tangibles in here,
Let's ask. I want to ask the tangible. Is Golovkin a better scalp right now still than Andrade or even possibly Canelo? Is he top 3?
Yes, I'd consider him a top 3. I think the top 3 at middleweight would be Canelo, Golovkin, and Charlo.
All right,
and you got Andrade after that somewhere.
Andrade would probably fall underneath that category. He's unproven still at the weight class. His best win there is Maciej Sulecki, whose best accomplishment is a win over Jack Colque, a generally career 154-pounder.
Right.
So,
I think he had a. I don't want to say close, but he gave some hard rounds to Jacobs, if I remember right. Sulecki did.
Yeah. He had a competitive fight with Jacobs.
Yeah, so let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you tangible this question. Do you think now, as far as Charlo's next fight, plausible or more realistic opponent, do you think it should be Eubank or could it be Golovkin? If Golovkin get past Jermenta?
Well, realistically, it's going to be Eubank, but my wish would be it's Golovkin. I think Charlo has a good chance to beat both. I think he beats Eubank comprehensively.
I agree. What about Golovkin? You think that's tailor made for Charlo, his stylistic matchup wise?
It's pretty close, but I'd probably favor Charlo because I think Golovkin is still declining, to be honest.
Right. Fair enough. Now, there's one particular question I did not ask. I should have let this off on my live stream. With these wins that the Charlo brothers got, Jermall over Derevyanchenko and Jermell's win over Jason Rosario. Do you think that both of these wins deserve them to be for both of the brothers to be placed on the pound for pound top 10 list? Any of you guys become?
No.
I like the way that Mel beat Banana. Like I actually did up him in my pound for pound list, but I actually haven't thought about the top 10 since then. My sense of it is he still has some huge skill deficiencies. And the Josh Taylor win was a first round knockout, so there wasn't really much to parse from it. I feel like the Ramirez Postol sort of devalued Ramirez some, and he was in my top 10. And Usyk is out of there because he's a heavyweight, so probably, but I just haven't done a top 10 yet.
I'd probably put the 150. I'd probably, if I was doing lists and I haven't updated it, I'd probably think about putting the 154 Charlo because he's the ringer lineal champion at 154. He's beaten the number 2 guy. I believe he's got 3 of the 4 belts, and I don't know what more other criteria. It just depends. If you got other guys who are like 3-4 week champions, then you probably put them ahead. But I just don't think the one at 160 has done enough. I wonder if Chenko is good, but I don't have Golovkin in my top 10, so I don't think I would put Charlo in. But if you have got Golovkin in their top 10, then I would question why Charlo isn't there, because recently Golovkin hasn't done anything except beat Derevyanchenko, and I think Charlo did a better job.
Fair enough. But let me respond to that. Now, Usyk, I agree with you, Tangible. Usyk is a heavyweight right now, so he should be taken out of the top. He's still rated number 5 pound for pound. I don't know why he's still there.
That's too high,
yeah, he needs to be taken out of there because he hasn't fought anyone ever since he moved up there. I mean, he fought Chaz a guy who's haven't fought nearly 5-7 years. I mean, at that point, then he's fighting Derek Chisora, but even if he beats Chisora, that win doesn't put you in the pound for pound list. But even so, I think here's the way I look at it. I'm looking at the list right now. I think Usyk needs to be taken out of that list, and you could place Jermell in there because he is, as Ahmed says, he's got the Rematch belt, he's got 3 titles, so he should be taking Usyk's spot. And then you have, and then when I'm looking at the list, you have Manny Pacquiao, and then you have Arthur the Beterbiev. Beterbiev's got a fight coming up, so I mean, I guess you could still keep him in there. But Pacquiao, since he's rumored to be fighting Conor McGregor, you got to take him off the list. You got to take him out because
that happens.
Personally, I would say that Jermall.
I'm not taking Manny out for no damn rumor. He's been rumored to fight. He was rumored to fight. He was rumored to fight Manny before he fought Keith. Like, I'm not taking him out for a rumor.
I would personally say that Jermell's win warrants pound for pound discussion, but not Jermall. I think Derevyanchenko is not an elite middleweight, but he is a second tier guy who did ultimately prove his status as a legitimate champion at the weight class, but not enough for top 10 pound for pound status.
Fair enough, fair enough. But that's the thing that could be argued for Golovkin when he got in there. I mean, me personally, he shouldn't even been in the top number 1 or number 5 pound for pound. That Golovkin still rated there for some reason somehow.
I agree.
But
I
yeah,
think
I don't understand how pound for pound. I don't understand how pound for pound became synonymous with box rec. Like, it just seems like all you're doing is looking at comparing resumes and deciding who's pound for pound, and the actual skills being able to translate whether what
I don't
division you're
even
in
look
is
at the
now
box rep pound for
completely
pound list,
discounted.
but I'm just letting you know I don't regard the box spec pound for pound list if that was the only one. So I don't count
Say
that.
again?
I don't count the box spec pound for pound. I don't count that. I count Ring Magazine
No,
or
I'm not talking about the box specs list. I'm talking about the fact that it just seems to be about how many divisions you fought in and champions and who you fought last. Like, it's a power rankings for your resume instead of how you're developing as a fighter.
I'd say that Jermell, if you want to look at the case of skills, I don't think Jermell would be in the top 10. But even if you want to go by the traditional, current, I guess, criteria that like Ring would use, Jermell has the wins and the accomplishments, but he doesn't have the all-around performances. I feel like his performance, like even against Rosario, he was losing. I had him losing the fight 4-3 as far as rounds. Now, of course, he was up because of the 2 knockdowns.
Right.
But he was also losing against Harrison. He also lost to Harrison once.
Right.
He was also losing to John Jackson.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but
I don't think it's a skills problem.
Let him make it in. Let him make it.
I remember people saying about this is obviously Waldo's not pound for pound, but they're saying he was losing to this and that. We should just base it consistently on the result. Like, you could have a guy losing this and that, but I know he lost to Harrison, but he also avenged that defeat. So I think that's more down to skills. I will say one thing: some people do have Spence in the pound for pound rankings, but don't have Pacquiao. I think that it shouldn't make sense because Spence, one of his biggest wins is Porter, whereas Pacquiao does have a much deeper resume, and his win over Thurman, I think, was just as good, maybe better.
Didn't Pacquiao?
The issue with Pacquiao is that he lost to Horn and got knocked out by Marquez, and so he kind of left the pound for pound.
Marquez was a long time ago.
I know, I'm saying, but he recently got into the pound for pound list again from that because he was only fighting Matisse, right? It's really winning over Thurman that got him back into the top 10 pound for pound. He is my number 5 pound for pound because of the Thurman win. Right? Can
I respond real quickly? That's a fair point, but as far as resume is concerned, many people argue that Jermall has a better resume than his brother Jermell, despite the fact that Jermell is a little bit more accomplished now.
I think Jermall's got the best singular win, but Jermell's got a better
overall,
better quality of competition overall.
Nah, I disagree with that. Jermall's competition has been better than his brother. Just the only thing you can argue is that Jermell is more accomplished, given the fact that he's won more titles than his brother.
I thought it when back at 154, I thought it was an argument, but since he's gone to middleweight, who's Charlo fought besides David?
Well, if you look, that's a good question. If you look at junior middleweight, Jermall has a better resume than his brother because if you think about it, look who he's fought. He fought K9. Beat Austin Trout before Jermell beat him. And then he fought J-Rock. Jermell didn't fight him. And then he fought...
Yeah, but they both beat Trout, didn't he? So, I don't know. I think it's only J-Rock. But I don't know. Was it J-Rock better than Tony Harrison?
J-Rock is... Well, that's an argument. But, K9, you could say is better than Tony Harrison, before he retired.
And how do we rate the...
Yeah, the problem is J-Rock beat a champion. J-Rock beat a champion and Tony Harrison... While I feel like he got the result against Charlo, I don't know about him winning that fight, though.
Yeah, but at the time he beat J-Rock, he didn't. J-Rock was a prospect. That time when Charlo beat, I don't know, we should have.
Well, no, he was not really a prospect. He was a number one rated contender.
But he wasn't a champion.
The Lubin win. What about the Lubin win? How do we rate the Lubin win?
Well, to be fair, though, Charlo beat the champion to get that IBF title. He beat K9, the same guy who beat Corey Spinks many years ago. Or was it several years ago?
Punched up Courtney Spinks good.
Yeah, we remember that fight.
K9 was old. K9 was old. Yeah, but
he was old.
Was a good knockout.
Yeah, he was old, but some people felt that Charlo wasn't
supposed to.
Yeah, well, let's be real though. They thought that Charlo wasn't quite ready for that fight because his competition wasn't that good before he fought him. So I mean, his best win is.
I think K9 was a bit over his head. I think even him beating Molina was a big shock, but nonetheless, that was a good win. But I think the Charlos at 154 both were good at the time. I just think the one who beat Tony Harrison and now who beat Rosario, I think he's probably overall got a better resume. Some people might look at the loss, but he's avenged the loss, so I think that's how it is now.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, L Dog is in the chat. What's up, L Dog? I wish he could come in here because I want him to explain that 8-4 score that he gave Derevchenko over Charlo.
8-4.
What?
That's nonsensical.
L Dog.
I don't think anyone had Derevchenko with it though.
I don't think any.
I know two people who had Derevchenko winning, but I absolutely don't see that.
Are they intangible? Are they sane people?
One of them actually, I think, is sane, but you know, I thought Jermall clearly won 8-4.
Yeah, that's what I had 8-4 Jermall.
If you want to be really generous,
you would have to give every swing. You'd have to give every swing round to Derevchenko to get a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. L Dog responded to that. He said, "Look, I was drunk." Oh, it's okay. Okay, I'll give you a pass.
That explains things.
Hey, honesty. Yeah, 4 points for honesty.
Yeah, at least he's honest. He said, "Look, I rewatched the fight again." Wait, hold up. He rewatched the fight, but he gave it 7-5 to Derevchenko. What
the fuck?
I'm not still drinking.
Are you still drinking?
I thought it was close, but I don't think Derevchenko won.
Oh no, he made a mistake. He said no, 7-5 Charlo. Yeah. I was like, all right, man.
Yeah, I can see 7-5. That's how I did, but I don't think Derevchenko won. Even draw, I think you've got to be generous to give him a draw.
That's true. I agree. I scored a 6-5-1 for Charlo, but anybody who thought Derevchenko won that fight, come on, man. Let's be realistic. You don't have to like Jermall, but you got to keep it real for what it is. He won that fight convincingly. He did.
I think it's probably more 8-4 Charlo. I gave it 7-5. I might have had it a bit closer, but a lot more people had it wider. I don't think it was 10-2. That's way too wide. But
10-2 and 9-3 was way too wide for my life.
I wonder how did Paulie Malignaggi score the fight?
Oh,
whoa. That's low.
Yeah.
Who's commentating?
Talk about derailing the conversation.
No, it was Abner Maris commentating. Abner Maris took Paulie Malignaggi's position. He took his place.
I don't like his commentary, man.
Yeah, Abner is a little bit too laid back. Yeah, Paulie's is more controversial. He's more energetic, uptight.
I can't remember a single thing. I can't remember a single time of Abner talking. Not that he didn't. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? I don't remember it. It's like, oh yeah, he was there, but I have no. I don't remember him. Do you remember him? I don't remember him contributing to the conversation, so to speak.
No, I mean the only thing Abner was saying that you see Charlo with those nice little uppercuts in the inside. See what he's doing, and he was just sounding like he was high or something. I like it. I mean, even though Abner, I was critical of him fighting because he used to low blow guys a lot. But other than that. I mean, he's not a commentator, is he? Yeah, he's not a good commentator. I like Abner, but he's not a good commentator. I guess he doesn't bring any what's the word? Charisma. He doesn't
charisma, but he does bring those crazy eyes though. Check it out, guys. I'm about to go through a bad service area, so I got to sign off. But I'll be listening as I can, if I can, as the technology permits. But it's been great talking to you guys about some boxing, and I'll be listening. Peace, y'all.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it, Smoke. Okay, take care, man. All right, cool. So
what about the undercard? Did you talk about the undercard?
Not yet. I was gonna get to the undercards just right now. But L Dog did score. He says 8-5 or 7-5 Charlo. He said he was drunk or something that night. I'm like, all right, you sound reasonably sane to me. Oh, here he is, right here. Here's L Dog. Hey, what up, L Dog?
Hey, what's up?
All right, so you're forgiven, man.
I was drunk as a motherfucker, man, because when I rewatched that fight, I was like, oh, fuck, man.
I know. I was wondering, what did you see that we didn't see?
No, I think it's because, man, in the middle rounds, Derevchenko had a lot of success, but I mean, I'm going to be honest, he had the wrong game plan, and look, Jermall, he beat him on points, 8-4, 7-5. I can see either of those. 10-2 was outrageous, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
That
was outrageous. Yeah, that was
10-2 is come on. But
I thought Jermall. The key to the fight really was Jermall sweeping the first 4 rounds. And then
I had the first round, but I thought Jermall won the first 5-4-1.
Yeah,
I had a 4-1 or 3-1. Yeah, 3-1.
And then so I had Jermall winning the first 4. I had Derevyanchenko winning 3 of the middle 4, and then I had Jermall winning 3 of the last 4. Hence, I ended up 8-4 with Jermall.
Yeah, Derevyanchenko won the 12th, I think. That was the round.
Yeah. Well, I scored that round even because it was too close.
It was close.
That was a close round. That was close,
yeah, I scored that round even. So I have to look at it again. I looked at it like 4 or 5 times right now. I still scored it even. I couldn't tell who won that round.
That happened to me with the Golovkin Derevyanchenko fight. One of the rounds I watched it live and I scored it even, and I rewatched it and I scored it even. I think I had Golovkin winning by 1 point, but that was a much closer fight. A lot of people thought Derevyanchenko won that.
Yeah,
I think the knockdown was quite
different. Hey, I hate to interrupt, but Dan, I think I was your 2000th subscriber.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it, man.
You hit the 2K mark, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Hey, real talk. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Hey, thank you. Thank you, man. I worked hard for those 2,000 subs, legit subs, that is. Hey, no disrespect to those guys. I'm just messing with y'all, man. The other uploaders. But real quickly, though, let's talk about the undercard because they need to get a little bit of shine, too, because that was a card. I have to admit, that was a good card. One of the best I've seen this year so far, post-pandemic. But Casimir versus Duke Maka. Entertaining fight for them when it only lasted 3 rounds, though. But Casimir called out Inu right after that. He said he's no monster. He's scared to fight me. What are you guys' thoughts on that one?
Can I just say, did you say it was a good undercard or bad?
No, it was a good undercard. I said it was good.
Oh, you reckon? On paper, I thought it's good.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, after the Casemiro fight, I passed out.
I thought it was a bad undercard.
That's like all I caught. It didn't help that they had that ridiculous intermission thing, Dan.
Yeah, the intermission was the only part that was pretty. That was like a lot of people didn't like. Yeah. But it was a good undercard. I'm not saying it was a great undercard, but it was a very good undercard.
Here's the problem with the Casemiro thing, calling out Inoue, is supposedly they were already like set up to fight, and the word is that Casemiro's the one that pulled out.
Yeah, he pulled out.
How are you going to call out the guy that and you know what I mean, and say that when you're the one that pulled out?
Maybe it's a confidence level. I mean, because after you beat Tete, then you're going in there and straight in there against Inoue, which is a big month. That's like, it's like, wait a minute. I don't even get a two-up.
Oh, that fight's going to be just violence.
Yeah, I know.
Shout out to Casemiro, man. Casemiro's a beast. He's a beast.
Well, here's the thing, though. Isn't Casemiro signed with PBC, though? If so, then how are they going to where's the fight going to end up?
I anticipate Casemiro to fight the winner of Ubali versus Donaire. And I got an unpopular opinion. I got Donaire beating Casemiro.
That's a good fight. That's a good fight. I wouldn't mind.
I see that as a distinct possibility. The way that Donaire punches still at that weight. He nearly knocked out Inoue.
Yeah, the thing is, his punches are so short and sharp. And when you look at Casemiro, he's not a very good finisher. He doesn't set up his finishes. He tends to just swing wildly, although he has good volume.
Right, and Donaire will wait. Donaire will wait for that perfect opportunity to catch you just right. The way he did it in a losing effort to Walters. He did it in a losing effort to Rigo.
Yeah.
He's eventually going to find you. He's eventually going to find you.
And now I honestly would say he's better at he's better at traditional boxing skills. He's a more conventionally skillful boxer than he used to be. While he's not a better fighter than he used to be.
Yes.
Like his body attack is better. His jab comes to use more often. His left hook to the body comes back up top. He's got more tools in his punch arsenal than he used to have. It's very possible as well that he could wear down Casemiro sort of in the same way, not quite in the same way, but still wear him down in a similar fashion to how Mitilane was, where he sort of had Casemiro sort of run out of gas after trying to sort of explode into his attacks.
Yeah.
I mean,
go ahead, Eldar. Go
Go ahead.
I was gonna say my main concern is he's 38 years old, coming off a war, and he has taken a lot of punishment over the course of his career. Can he keep a younger man off of him? I don't know at this point, man. At some point, you're gonna be shot, like Miguel Cotto when he got in there with Saddam Ali, shot to pieces, and at some point, Nonito, I think he might look like that, especially after the war with Inoue, man.
Right.
That's kind of me assuming that he gets past Ubali though, because that's a fight I think is close, but I'd still favor. I still favor Donaire.
As far as keeping people
depends
off,
how he looks against.
Yeah. As long as he's able to pull the trigger, or Donaire's got the kind of punch power that'll keep anybody at that weight class off. Trust me.
Right. Yeah, fair enough.
Now, as soon as those reflexes start to get shot, like you say, and he's not able to pull the trigger anymore, and his power won't matter. And yeah, it's going to be a wrap. But as of right now, he's still around. The last thing to go is the power, man.
Yeah, that's true. I think it depends how he looks against Ubali, because I know that he had a good effort with Danui, but that was a very physically that was a very tough fight, and at that age, we need to see how he looks against Ubali first. But nonetheless, unless his punch resistance is completely gone, he should beat Ubali.
That fight really is compelling. I mean, because just on the Donaire side, we have no idea. Like you say, he could come in there and ice Ubali. He could come in there shot to pieces and get beat up.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between, we have no idea where he's at.
Yeah.
If he wins,
I'm looking at him like Golovkin.
Is good.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the bantamweight division, you guys know that Charlie Edwards skipped junior bantamweight all the way from skipped it and went up to bantamweight, and he fought Williams. And let me just be honest with you, Charlie Edwards is not a player at that weight class. I'm just being honest. He's not.
After that, got knocked out.
Yeah, he should have got knocked out, number one. I think after that Martinez fight, I'm just keeping it real. After that Martinez fight, Charlie Edwards has just not been the same psychologically.
Could you imagine? Because he would have gotten fucked up by anybody on world level at that weight class.
Could you imagine him against Casemiro?
Oh yeah,
they fought. He's already been knocked out by Casemiro.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That's
right. Yeah.
I was there. He took that.
That's why I like Casemiro, man. Casemiro, he's one of these fighters not a lot of people really know about, but he comes to fight, he knocks people out, he's relentless. He does actually have some great wins on his resume, like
Matt Runrong. Yep.
And Charlie Edwards.
Arroyo, was it Arroyo?
Yeah, Arroyo.
Who did he lose to, though? He lost to someone.
He lost to Runrong, he lost to Marudi Mithilane, and some other guys I forgot.
He got knocked
out. But I mean, he's a wild card. Like, he's a wild card fighter.
Jonas Sultan, who
not the gym, but I mean, flip of the coin, man. The guy can beat anyone, but he can also lose to some people.
Speaking of 118 and moving up, is Rongvisai going to move up to 118?
Well, Rongvisai,
I don't think that's a good decision.
He's waiting.
Because
he's waiting for the Gonzalez fight, I think. Or winner of Gonzalez and Estrada, I believe.
That'd be a bad decision for him to move up to 118.
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna say. Is he maybe struggling at the weight the way he looked at? He made Amnat Runrong look like a master boxer.
I don't think he's the same guy he used to be honest, and he hasn't been. Really, I got that impression from the Iran Diaz fight before the Estrada fight, that he's kind of slowing down. He's 33, 34 years old.
Yeah.
He's been fighting a lot more now. Almost his whole career. He's been getting up in weight even more since the Gonzalez fights. He's the type of guy who got a little bit of money.
I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Estrada.
Well, I mean, the flyweights and superfly and junior flyweight division. I mean, not junior fly, but superfly and the bantamweights. Yeah, those are very, very stacked divisions. So, I mean, there's some definitely good fights to be made there. Obviously, the Nui versus Casimir fight. That's definitely the big fight I want to see. That needs to be made. So hopefully,
what about see if Nui and Casimiro does happen? Do you think Rongvisai, if he moves up?
I think he's going to move up because he.
Him and Nui are 118. Do you reckon
Yeah,
that
I
would be
mean, yeah, that,
hey, there's still some people I'd like to see because I don't know what Rongvisai has left. I'd like to see him against any of those guys at 118.
yeah, because I'm not sure how long he can make Superfly because he's huge to be at super flyweight. I mean, just like Calify, even though I never really looked at Calify as a legit super flyweight, but still.
Hell,
the thing
is Rigo still fighting at 118?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, he moved down.
You can do Rongvisai. You can do Rongvisai and Rigo.
That's not a bad fight.
That's
I
not a
think
bad
the thing
fight.
is,
And then the loser of that fight retires. Put that in the contract.
I think Rongvisai.
Intangible got hate for both of them. Like,
I think
Actually, it's a
Rongvisai's
good idea, to
weight.
be honest, because Rongvisai. Okay, maybe not Rongvisai. Maybe Rongvisai has something to give, but Rigo, he could retire right now, and I don't think anybody would be shocked.
He's really old.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. But let's move on, guys, to the next undercard bout. It was let me see, it was Brandon Figueroa versus Damian Vasquez. That was a very good.
I don't know. You reckon?
Well, actually, the first 4 rounds, David Vasquez was outboxing Figueroa. The Figueroa was just out to have to adjust and not give him the range, and he started to beat him up badly. So Figueroa is actually a good fighter, but his defense is pretty leaky. That's one thing.
I thought that went on a bit too long. I think he should have been stopped a round or two earlier. But I don't know. Figueroa, has he been elevated to a champion?
No, he's a regular champion. Yeah, he's still behind Akamale Delia. So
yeah, he's got the main belt too.
Yeah, he's got the main belt, but there's room. Figueroa's too big to be at super bantamweight. He need to move up to featherweight. I'm not sure how long he can make 122. So, I mean, if he can, I mean, if he chooses to stay down there, I mean, what would be the next fight for him to be made? I mean, Danny Ramon fight. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
That's not a bad fight.
Yeah, it's not a bad fight.
I don't know, but my observation with both Figueroas, Omar and Brandon, they both seem to have this habit of making, like, and Hamed alluded to this, they make fights way harder than they need to be.
That's true.
They're both talented. They both got ability. Like they're both very clever on the inside and know a lot of tricks. You can tell they've been in gyms a lot, right?
Right.
But Omar in particular, Omar's lazy.
But that's the problem with Omar. He just got a bad disciplinary issues, man. He's a talented fighter. He can he's disappointing. He just wastes his career away for not being disciplined.
Dude, he's up at welterweight. He's up at welterweight, and in my opinion, just me eyeballing it. To me, if he was really on it discipline wise, he could have fought at 130 for at least a while. If he'd really been disciplined, in my opinion. But he's all the way up at welterweight. He ate his way to welterweight. Brandon's more disciplined at least, but in terms of his weight and everything, but in the ring they're very similar. They both like to get into that Carmen Basilio shoulder to shoulder shit, which they're both good at. They're very good at it. But like Hamed says, they make fights way more difficult. You know, they make guys that they make hard work out of guys that they have way more skill than.
True. Very good point, man. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, Figueroa, Brandon, good win. Decent win against Vasquez. But, you know, like I said, like Ahmed said before he dropped off, that fight probably went a little too longer than it should because Vasquez was taking a beating after that 6th, 7th round. He was taking some huge shots. And maybe supporters should put him out sooner than, maybe the 5th round at best. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see where Brandon Figueroa goes from here. But, yeah, man, intermission came up, and then the other main event undercard came up, Luis Theory versus shout out to you, man. Always a pleasure to have you on, man. Luis Theory versus Aaron Alameda. That was a very good, entertaining fight. Luis Theory won the fight on decisions, but that was for the vacant title since Ray Vargas is a champion at recess. So, how do you guys see Luis Theory as a player at super bantamweight?
I can't stand Luis Theory.
Oh yeah, he can't make weight.
The Yamanaka shit and the weight stuff, but particularly the Yamanaka shit. Like I
can't forgive him for that.
I'm like Japan. I can't forgive him.
He and Callum Smith are probably my 2 least favorite fighters.
Oh yeah, I don't know what intangible. Can you explain? Maybe I forgot. What is it that Callum Smith did to you?
I'd like to hear that. Yeah.
He hates Callum Smith.
Well,
I'd like to hear that. Yeah, go ahead, Tangible.
First of all, I hate that he's 6'3". I hate his voice as well. I hate his press conference. You know, I really, what jump-started my hatred for him was watching his post-fight presser against Hassan Endom. You know, I couldn't listen to it anymore. It was just so bad.
What exactly did he do that offended you?
Tangible?
What else you got? John Ryder not giving him a rematch, getting a gift decision, looking terrible in pretty much every single one of your fights besides Hassan Endom, getting outboxed by George Groves, being unable to stop a kickboxer, looking poor against Eric Skovland. You know.
He gets some points. I can't get why. He makes some points.
Yeah, it makes some points, but to be fair, at least Callum Smith hasn't really done any weight manipulations and stuff like that, like Derry did against Yamanaka. I mean, let's be fair. I mean, and then he was able to get, beat Yamanaka the first fight when he failed the drug test without nobody knowing about it. That was a fucked up shady shit right there, prior to the fight, but he was still allowed to fight anyway. But other than that, I see your points about Derry, but Callum Smith, I don't know, man. I think Callum Smith is a likable guy. Now, you could argue that how he fought his opponents and when he fought them at the time he fought them, that you could say, okay, he fought a one-armed George Groves. He doesn't deserve much credit for that, even though I disagree. The Samadam, I agree with you that one. That fight had no business to be made at all.
Intangible, let me ask you this. Does Callum Smith perhaps suffer a bit from the problem Gennady Golovkin had with Abel Sanchez of having an obnoxious mouthpiece? His trainer.
Joe Gallagher.
Yeah. He was the one that was the most obnoxious about the rematch thing, remember?
Yeah, well, Joe Gallagher, I don't like him either. In fact, they're a very sensitive group of people. Actually, my first interaction with the boxing world was me getting blocked by Liam Smith on Twitter for making fun of his gray hair. Now, getting to the Luis Neri subject, Luis Neri, while I don't like him, he would earn my respect if he does fight the winner. If he does fight Roman and beat him, or if he fights the winner of Fulton versus Leo, since Fulton is going to be fighting him for the title. I think that would help earn his respect back and sort of give him credentials that he needs, would establish him as a legitimate champion, and he'd be a unified guy, a two-weight champion with plenty of good wins on his resume by that point. That would sort of help redeem him, but at this point, the Alameda performance was not very good. The game plan was not good, and I feel like part of the reason was because of his trainer, Eddie Reynoso. Eddie Reynoso tries to turn pressure fighters into mid-range counter-punchers. He's trying to sort of evolve his style, and he did the same thing with Valdez. He had Valdez trying to fight off the back foot against Velez. You just don't put Valdez on the back foot. If you're trying to train a pressure fighter, you teach them how to bob and weave, to jab their way in, sort of infighting tactics and all that kind of stuff. I don't think they're a good fit. Neri is a sort of inside pressure combination puncher, and you're trying to get him to sort of jab with and try to counter with a counter puncher who's longer than you and who's a boxer and a mover.
So it sounds like what you're saying is he's trying to turn him into cannoli.
Yeah.
Effectively.
Well, I mean, hey, very good points there. I mean, I'm not the biggest Luis Neri fan either, based off that Yamanaka situation. I mean, it was
that trainers like that, they're like the equivalent of NFL football coaches that are system coaches.
Yeah.
Where it's they don't care who's on their roster, they're going to run their system. You get what I mean?
Right.
No matter what, then like it could be a square peg round hole, don't matter. That's their system. There's some boxing coaches that are that way. And it sounds like from what he's saying, because I didn't see the fight, Reynoso might be in that same category.
Yeah, I mean he's got Reynoso in his corner training him, so I guess that's helping him a little bit to become somewhat better disciplined and somewhat help him make the weight a lot better as far as condition is concerned. So
Glenbow stinks.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things, man. But
Yeah. What else was going to talk about? Damn it! The last fight on the undercard was Danny Roman versus Juan Carlos Payano. That was a very good fight, believe it or not. I mean, very good fight. Went the distance. Of course, the only controversy in the fight is that last punch that Danny Roman threw in the last round, the left hook that dropped Payano, the referee ruled it a slip, not a knockdown. So I guess I guess the reason why he ruled it that way because he's like it's such a good fight, it's a close fight. I don't want that knockdown at the end of the bell to be the determining factor of why Payano lost that fight. But I mean, it didn't matter anyway. Yeah, he lost on all the judges' scorecards.
I would say that the knockdown. I don't think the knockdown was actually ruled a slip. It was ruled after the bell.
Oh, really? I know the referee ruled it a slip. He gave a signal there was a slip. Yeah, that's what I thought he did because if you look at the replay, the knockout happened right before the bell, like a millisecond. It happened right before the bell. So
yeah, I know it was a legitimate knockdown. It should have been scored for Roman. Otherwise, I had Roman winning the fight anyway, so it kind of didn't really matter. And of course, all three judges did. I had Roman winning 7-5. It was a very good fight, though. Roman was challenged. Payano, maybe he's filled out a little bit more at that weight class, so he's a little more durable. He was able to take a lot of Roman's body shots a bit better than he took Nery's, for example, even though Roman is a huge puncher.
Right.
Payano's always entertaining, man. Payano's entertaining. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, fair enough.
Boxer, he is. He's not very. He's pretty vulnerable. Doesn't have great stamina. He's
let's see.
On the front foot, but he's got some good skills.
Yeah, it's like, well, let's see. He had the. I mean, the Nery fight was entertaining while it lasted. This was entertaining. All right, yeah, and then what's his name? Rasheed Warren. He had two really good fights with him.
Yeah, he had some really good fights. Yeah, he got some very good fights with Rasheed Warren, and then of course he got blasted by Newey in the.
Andy was on the end of a sweet knockout.
That was bad. He got blasted by Newey. I thought Newey was going to lose that fight against Payano. To be honest with you, I thought he was going to lose to Manuel Rodriguez, but it is what it is. I mean, those are much bigger guys.
Did any of you guys check the? Did any of you guys catch the Dorticos Maris Briedis fight?
Yeah. I was going to get into that real quickly before I end the hangout. I mean, not the hangout, the live stream. That was a pretty good fight. I mean, it's not as entertaining as we thought it would be, but I do say that I got to give credit's due. Briedis fought a very good fight. He boxed beautifully. He kept the fight at a certain range. He fought off the bat foot pretty well. He landed some very good combinations. The thing about Dorticos is that his Achilles heels is that he fades at the end of fights. That's the problem.
Yeah. The first half. The first half of that fight was really good, very competitive, and then the second half not so much because Briedis, like the one big adjustment that Briedis made that I noticed was he stopped once his back hit the ropes, he was getting out of there. After about round 7, starting around 7 or 8. Yeah, he would spin out immediately. Maybe he'd throw a punch or two, and then he was getting out of there because that was where Dorticos was having success early on.
Right.
The main thing I think Briedis has above the rest of Dorticus' opponents is he's able to counter Dorticus. Because one thing Dorticus likes to do is he likes to lean into his hooks or lean into his right hand when he throws, so he can sort of smother you from the outside and prevent long-range counters. Briedis is so good at being able to step back or step to the side and counter you. And that left hook counter was landing all night.
The uppercut I thought was...
The uppercut, too. The left uppercut.
For Briedis.
Briedis' lead hand. That left hand that Briedis was... It was beautiful. He was using it extremely well.
Oh, yeah.
Now, so where does this leave everything? Is this division another case of rock, paper, scissors?
It's a rock, paper, scissors.
Or is Dorticos just not as good as any of these guys? Or
no, I think.
Or where's it at?
Well, I think
because Briedis, real quick, Dan. Briedis, I've seen Briedis have some poor outings. He was very competitive with Usyk, but then like that Noel something or other intangible. You know what I'm talking about? Because Unrivaled turned me on to the fight. I hadn't seen it, and Yeah, he's had some outings where he's looked very, very underwhelming. I gotta say.
Oh yeah, Breedis has Mike Perez. I can't remember. Michaela, I think that's his name. The first guy.
Yeah. The Noel Michaela guy. Yeah. That was he should have even won that.
It's still a wide open. It's still a wide open division. I mean, you got Duriodola, who's hanging around. I mean, you got with Chuno, and then you have Makabu, who's the WBC champion, who did partake in the World Boxing Super Series, and you have then you have Kawaki still hanging around, and Kawaki and Breedis. That's a rematch that we want to see after the controversy.
Speaking of Duradola, was Duradola maybe a little better than anybody thought, like low key?
Yeah, he's a lot better than people expected after he blasted through what's the guy named Kucherov. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like in hindsight, looking back, because he was kind of like, he was a serious player at cruiserweight, but it was during a time when no one was paying. It was before the Super Series, and no one was really paying attention.
Yeah. I mean, he's a decent fighter. You got Coley in there now. He's fighting for the vacant cruiserweight title against Kawaki. That should be an interesting fight. I hope Coley doesn't hold on like he did.
I was gonna say, is that too much for a Coley? You guys, what do you guys think?
I mean, he hasn't even fought. I mean, did he fight a couple guys on European level? I think he did, and I mean, then from there, it's like, okay, now he's ready for world level against Kawaki. I think Kawaki wins that fight because I'm still not impressed with Coley. I'm not impressed. I'm still not impressed with the guy. I mean, he's fighting for the vacant title, and then you have, I mean, Dorticos to me beats Kawaki. I mean, Okoli. He beats Okoli right now. I'm being honest. That's I think.
He might knock Okoli out.
Yeah, he'll knock Okoli out. Okoli's style is tailor made for Dorticos. I'm just keeping it real. It is.
Oh, and what's my other guy? What's the other dude's name that was in the controversial fight with Breidis? That's why they took the title.
Mike Perez.
No. Where Bird didn't hear the bell?
Yeah, it was Glowacki. That was the fight.
Oh, it was Glowacki. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why Glowacki's getting the vacant shot. Okay.
That's why he's getting the vacant shot. So that way, if he gets the belt, then Breedis you can get the IBF belt, and then he could unify with Glowacki.
See, and I'm not so sure. It's like it's going back to the rock paper scissors thing. Dorticos, I think, has a pretty good. He probably has a better shot against Glowacki than he did against Breidis.
Yeah, he does. It gives him Coley too. So if you put those two together, I think he beats Walczyk, and I think he also beats Kucherov. I think he beats those guys. But
he's already beaten Kudrashov.
Okay. Yeah,
who by the way, if he clips him, can knock out just about anybody.
I agree with that. Well, what's up, Raider in the chat? I see the MXBC's coming in here. What up, Raider? Those dudes are like fun. Those dudes are like, mischiefs, but they all good though. But Hefe was in here for a moment. But yeah, I mean, good. Cruiserweight's a very underrated division. It's been like that for some time after Holyfield left that division. I mean, perhaps Hay left that division too. But other than that, yeah, those some definitely a lot of good fights that could be made down there. Still. But real quickly though, I know L Dog just left, but I was going to comment on this real quickly. Philip Hrgović, I know he's high on that guy, but Hrgović. I'm still not impressed by Hrgović. I don't see what people see in the guy. I really don't.
I was more impressed by Yoka, that's for sure. I mean,
Yoka is a little bit more impressive, but Hrgović, no. I'm not impressed by that guy yet. I mean, he's still got some work to do. He's still got some time to prove himself, to progress, I should say. But
he's got to fight a live body.
He's got to fight a live body. I agree. I mean, at least Yoka fought Duhaupas, who was at least durable at the time, and he blasted through Duhaupas. But
Dan, I got to roll anyways, man. I got
thanks a lot, man. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. I was gonna end the hangout. I mean, the live stream anyway. But Tazra, do you have any last words before I end this live stream, man?
Yeah, thanks for letting me on. It's a good weekend of boxing, and I'll probably be back on and talk with you some other day. So have a good one.
Yeah, likewise, man. Thanks for coming on, man. Take care. Peace. All right, guys. Peace. All right, guys. That's it. I'm gonna wrap up this live stream. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Big Boys, aka Kiwi Box, for coming in earlier. L Dog, El Jefe was in there for a moment. Raider just came in. El Do, EJ, Smoke, Hamed, Fight Doctor, Mr. Doc. I just want to thank all you guys from here. Guy, that guy. I call you Guy. Neutral was in here. Get Gray Aubrey, Tommy Temper, Kurt Anderson, Kurt Sugar, Coach Schultz Harrison.
CHA Coach. Check out his channel. Please subscribe. And I think I got everybody here. Let me see if I'm missing anybody. Yeah, Hefe. I mean, the phone jack. I don't know who that guy is. Oh yeah, I'll is King UB. Shout out to King UB and L Dude. I think I mentioned you are L Dude. Hey, thanks a lot, man, for coming in. All right. Until next time, I'm gonna end this. I'm out. Peace.